slightly distracted still, but schedule is schedule. We are going to go anyway. Alrighty then. So, I wish I could say that I know a lot about what we're getting into here, but I kind of don't. But I am pretty excited about this one because I found out about this somewhat randomly a month or two ago at this point, something like that. When I was just scrolling through the Steam upcoming, and I just happened to spot this. It looked pretty good, so I'm like, okay, sure, I'll just wishlist this and keep an eye on when it's gonna come out. I then spotted the release date for it a couple days ago, turned out to be today, and it lined up perfectly with a day I had free, so it's like, you know what, we can make something happen here. We can just pop this in on release day and see how it goes. I gotta love how I got rid of this file and it's sitting here still. Though, I had to actually close the game because I couldn't get off of this screen, which was odd. But we will restart the whole thing, because there's a lot of cutscene. Where have the dragons gone? Considering that the runes were the cause of their downfall, the runes are both a blessing and a curse. Runekeeper Thordrum Bluntbrow. And here we are. Look how fast we go. Look at me go. No one's ever gonna be able to catch me. I'm the fastest man alive. You're supposed to run at this speed, but I learned that if you point the stick diagonally, he kind of just goes slow mode, which is pretty funny. At least it's funny to me. I don't know if it's funny to anyone else, but it's funny enough to me, and that's what matters. You have a double jump, you have a dodge move, you can stab things. That's about all we're gonna worry about right now. That's all we got. Don't mind these guys, they're doing their best. Successor, you're a bit late. Well, at least you arrived before the whole town was wiped out. As you can see, the neighborhood is already overrun with demons. The town is in a panic. Apparently the Order of Light won't be able to send enough soldiers from the capital. The normally proud Order must have been desperate to seek help from a mercenary group like us. I suppose that's why they sent someone like you. Honestly, I'm confused. Because the Order of Light calls rune wielders blasphemous, claiming they're stealing the power of the gods. I'm a mercenary, so all that really matters to me is that I get paid. Doesn't make you uncomfortable, though? Well, your business is your own. I don't expect an answer. I'm only here because Logan, second in command, told me to give this token to the successor when they arrive. Consider it my thanks for allowing me to rest a bit from the battle. Here, take this. If you want to talk to someone from the Order, go to the Withered Forest of Spirits. I've heard that the guards headed there, and perhaps Clara will be there as well. She seems to be the spiritual leader for the people here. Go on ahead, I'll catch up later. And he's just gonna hang out there. I hear the Order's made a difficult decision. They called their followers together. It's true we're short-handed, but didn't the Order say they were just as bad as demons? Rumor has it they don't believe in God. The Order seems to think you need to hire demons to catch demons. You know, I'm sitting right here, right? Damn, it's the end of times. You know, you're talking mad shit for somebody in stabbing range. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. Carry on. Seekers are those with a single goal, transcendence, and they practice it in their own way, and we lost the rest of that text. We've got health potions down there. You only can carry one at a time. I don't know if that's a right now or an at all. Get used to hearing some fairly Diablo sound effects as well, which, you know, they're generic enough sounds anyway, but that's the place where most people would be familiar with hearing some of these standard sound effects you'll be hearing. But the Diablo comparison also comes up with things like this, because at the very least, the first game I ran into where your attacks were your main means of generating your resource, and the way they're referred to here was Diablo 3. Much as I didn't care for that game, it does still stick in the brain a bit. And of course, the dodging that was mentioned already. You have pretty generous iframes. I want to say the entire time that the after image is up, you have iframes. I'm not 100% on that because I haven't played this that much yet, but it's a thing. But the other reason for the Diablo comparison is, look at this inventory. Notice all of the item slots and all of the everything. Like, for a game of this type, this is a lot of items. And I'm happy to see that, because that means there's gonna be some options to work with. Okay, so these are random, because these are not the enemies I had in the first room of test file. I was curious about that, how early they start with randomizing what you're dealing with in your rooms. The answer is there are no set areas then. It starts straight off with whatever it decides to give you. I say that because the enemies I got in the test file were very sparse in the first couple rooms, and it was pretty generous with the enemy types as well. So this spot right here is the same, with the 2 archers right above a handful of enemies. There was just a couple more at the beginning there. Yeah, skill points, there's a nice big old skill tree. Don't hit select, stupid, it's start button. You get your choice of 3 elemental swords, which will replace your basic attack with whichever one you pick. They've got a handful of bonuses for that. Couple mana-based passives over here. Because primarily you'll be dealing magic damage, despite what it may look like. Most of your damage is magic, from what I've seen so far. We've got a handful of actual button moves over there, passives tied to those. And then it just keeps on going. Interesting that they're hidden. Wait, they weren't hidden when I just tested this before. Interesting. Well, not gonna worry about that. Something may be being weird slightly, but we're not gonna worry about it. I'm sure it's fine. I used the Sword of Lightning in the test file, and it was quite good. Let's play around with the Sword of Fire this time. There's also a reality in which things are going to break a little bit, because keep that version number up there in the top left in mind. This is not a full release, this is an early access game. Things are going to break, things are going to be janky. Just roll with it. Okay, you'll notice now we're leaving a fire trail on our attacks, because it seamlessly replaces our primary attack down there with fire or sword. And this archer was paying attention and shot me in the face while I was demonstrating things. Yeah, our main attack, as you saw before, generates mana. We can't use mana right now because we don't have anything that uses it. And of course, as tradition holds, I end up getting hit all of the time now that I'm explaining things. I got through this whole beginning hitless because I was being careful instead of just going, oh yeah, see what happens when I hit these guys upside the head over and over again? Yeah, every time you finish an area, you get one of 2 chests. Pretty typical stuff. What you get in those chests is quite interesting. And you'll notice this chest over here that needs a key. I don't know how to get a ruby key still, because I only did the 1 run. I'm assuming it's a meta progression thing that you can get those keys. I'm not sure. We've got currency or soul gems. Oh wait, I see the key in the currency thing, so maybe you have to get it as a currency reward at the end of a stage then. Okay, that makes a degree of sense. Let's see if we get one. Of course we did. But yeah, this is a game that moves very well. It reminds me of... Actually reminds me in some ways of a little bit of Chasm, which you may remember from me playing last year? And that's partially an art style thing, because artistically it's very similar to that, because it's leveraging pixel art in much the same way that Chasm did, though this is a bit darker. Typical things there. We now have another item, in this case a talisman, but it's the same as the talisman we already have. I broke it. Okay, it's not completely broken. I thought for a second I could just infinitely duplicate them and that was going to be a problem. But thankfully the game corrected itself, so everything's fine. I didn't break anything completely yet. Except probably the speed record for getting hit a lot. So I didn't have to use a potion in the test run until like the 5th room. Now here we are burning potions every room. And making me sad. You can grab multiple elemental swords. I don't know what will happen if you do so. Considering they're just a basic attack, I feel like either A, you'd be able to just sit there and replace it as much as you wish, because you can set the button for anything you're using as you so wish. Which would just mean whichever thing is weak to something, or whichever one you think you're going to get the better items for, you could swap it. Or you could set it to multiple buttons and just start mashing like X and Y or something. I don't really need the mana recovery, but no, I'm not actually that jazzed about either of those either. I think I'll take that. Is you need to spend, it says 1 point there, but as far as I can tell, you need to spend 2 points to get up here, because it showed it at halfway up when it was only 1 point spent. But now we'll have access to purchasing one of these actual usable skills on our next level. I will say, it seems like the burning sword does more damage directly than the lightning sword was. But the stunning the lightning sword had was very nice. Because that's what Jolt was doing, was causing him to stagger a bit more. I missed an enemy somewhere. Yoo-hoo. One guy, where are you? Hello, doggo. Die. You don't need to wait for the currency. It'll just be summoned to your pocket once it sits there for a second. So, just carry it right on. You just gotta watch out that you don't leave items that drop behind, because you have to manually pick those up. An advanced artifact or a soul gem? Let's grab an artifact. 10% more gold and some critical chance. Attack speed, skill cooldown, and if multiple enemies are suffering from damage over time. I feel like that's phrased wrong, because why would I be taking increased damage over time? I feel like that's meant to be you deal additional damage over time. But maybe that is meant to be maybe that is meant to be a negative attached to it. I don't know. Boosting criticals, that does seem really good too. And these synergies are one of the more interesting things. You have categories, much like you'd see in like an auto battler or something like that. The more of each category you have, you start unlocking those bonuses is from your synergies, which is quite nice. Like as you saw with this one, repeated attacks give you an attack buff, and you have higher critical chance as you meet those two thresholds. This one has the critical threshold one as well, but gives you gold as well and reduced costs, which seems really nice. Especially when you factor in that skill damage multiplier once you get enough gold. Is consider the fact that we already have 6,000 gold just from walking through the first couple rooms. So already it would be a 7% increase, but you need to get to 7 stacks of merchant to get that. So more than likely you'd have more like 6 digits of gold, give or take, by the time you got to that point, unless things in the shops are really expensive. So I see that being super potent. 2 different cooldown bonuses and a bunch of damage over time bonuses. Okay. I'm kind of feeling this one. Also, you'll note you can just dismantle these for additional gold as well. But I think this is the winner right now for us, since it has a scaling critical chance increase. You can find artifacts, as you might have gathered from the fact that I pulled an artifact out of the box, and this is what I was already explaining. You can look at all of those over on this menu. You'll notice there is a limited quantity of how many we can have. So you'll have to keep that in mind. You're not going to be able to just keep stacking artifacts to the end of time and becoming a horrifically busted monstrosity. Who are you? I don't think you're with the Black Falcons, and you're not a member of the Guard. Was the Order that sent you? The successors? Well, it's about time. This town is more than just a few demons running amok. Rumor had it that the successors were all Dracons, but that isn't the case. So what are you looking for? You want some of my cooking? Of course, it smells incredible, doesn't it? Don't mistake it for something that stupid giant could make. These are all my own recipes. If you're on my client list, you can eat as much as you want for a gold coin. My food is only for my customers. If you're starving, you can beg the giant for some leftovers. It's better for your health if you don't know where your food comes from. You have a mark? I've only been here a short time since you met me. How did you get it? Yvain? That idiot gave it to you? I'm a little dubious that he gave it to you, if for no other reason. Well, rules are rules. Take your pick. Tastes great, but my cooking will be useful to you in battle for a limited time. So you basically get a buff for a few rooms from these food items. It says it restores life. I'm not entirely sure how to gain that restoration. Like, I assume there was an input I didn't understand or something. But there's not actually like a control menu in there, so I didn't fully figure that one out. But you can also re-roll what the food item is pretty cheaply. The extra physical attack is nice. Let's see what else he can give us. Still restores 50% life. You know what it is? It probably restores the 50% life when you pick it up, and then it does the buff afterwards. So if I was actually missing health, for example, we'd gain health. 10% damage reduction for 2 rooms is pretty nice. What else you got, though? Extra critical damage. Okay, and his restock price does go up as you use it over and over again. More move speed. Increased magical attack. I'll try one more reroll, just to see what else is here. Okay, I'm glad I kept rerolling, because that's just better than the other ones. So now we have 2 rooms worth of 25% boosted physical and magical damage. But you'll note, even our sword is giving us magic damage, which is slightly weird to me. It really makes me wonder... Okay, the amulet gives physical attack. Is this what I was saying when I was talking about physical damage not seeming like it's the priority in this game? Like, obviously, strength affects your physical damage. And I guess we just start with a lot of intelligence because we're a spellblade? I guess that's the thing? Is the thing that confuses me with the need of physical damage at all is this is magic damage, magic damage, magic damage, magic damage, magic damage. Have you considered magic damage? Or perhaps magic damage? Or magic damage? Maybe magic damage. Oh yeah, now these are showing properly up here as well. Magic damage, magic, 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 magic. Like, the only thing that is affected by your physical damage is just your plain swing itself, and even that is affected by magic damage. So I don't know what the point of physical damage in this game is. It's silly. I don't understand. It seems like it has no benefit to you at all. You notice the giant just is here. He's got quite the mess going on, but we just can't talk to him right now. I don't know if we can't get to talk to him later, but we certainly can't talk to him now. More soldiers. I am Clara, the priestess of Lu, the god of light. Not long ago, I would have welcomed you to the town of Cliffshire with joy, but I regret to now have to do so in a forest that is losing its light. Originally, Cliffshire was not just a town, but an enclave of monasteries and cemeteries, plateaus and burial grounds, all centered around the Temple of Light. Then the demons came, corrupting men and spirits, raising the dead and pushing us from our sanctuary. According to the survivors, they came here through the rift. It's not unusual for demons to show up now and then and cause mayhem, but it's very rare that this many show up at once and with such a focus on slaughter. It was not that long ago that demons appeared. Lu's knights and I resisted as long as we could, but the temple was taken and we were driven to this village. The demons are corrupting humans and spirits, raising the dead and barring us away from our sanctuary. We fear that the prophecy is being fulfilled and this is the second coming of the evil dragon Gornarian. The Order presumes that the dragon who once fled into the rift to escape punishment has finally emerged and opened rifts all around the world. If there's rifts all over the world, why are you so focused on this place in particular as far as the Order goes? I mean, I guess we only know about this area, so maybe they are sending forces in all those directions. A rift appeared quite some distance from here in Burial Ground. You know, that burial ground as opposed to all of the other burial grounds in the world. We desperately need your help to drive out this consuming darkness. Ahead of you is the Forest of Spirits. There's a flourishing forest of vine spirits under the influence of two great tree spirits that guarded the forest. Deep in the forest, the upright and strong tree spirit Guinevere has fallen. According to a survivor of the battle, two blood-stained faces grew on a large branch. Defeat the creature, cut off a part of it, and bring it to me. A piece of the fallen tree spirit can be used to rid the entrance of Gallatin Cave of the blood vines that surrounds it. May you always walk in the light. Thanks, old one. Out of my way now. I'm gone. Axe-related weapons can be given options related to critical hits. Okay, so the typical thing with that. A human. There was one like you, but he never returned. Human like you always come here. Humans are as persistent as demons. The forest ahead is where the spirits, my companions, my children have fallen. Those who can no longer be called spirits will stand in your way. If thou can get the tree spirit Longmore, slay him and remove his horns. By removing the horns of evil spawn during the fall, you will bring rest to my weary companion. Okay. Extra armor and extra resistance, extra potion capacity and extra resources. Yes, please. A little bit of extra armor is nice, but being able to carry more than one potion is probably going to be important. And now the demons get a little weirder looking. Get real stick-like. Because presumably they're tree-based, at least in some ways, perhaps. Level up. And nothing new in the box. Sadness. Sadness is nothing new, isn't it? Let's see. Leap forward quickly, dealing fire damage. Throw a fireball. Attack 4 times, dealing lightning damage. Ooh, you can also unleash a fast lightning on a percentage chance. Okay. Dash. Thrust arrow. 3 swings. This is the one I used as a backup in my test file, and I used Orb of Fire as my primary. So let's try Lightning Frenzy. Just so we have some elemental variety on the setup. Okay. They weren't kidding when they say 4 times quickly. Still didn't get any keys. Burn for your sins, burn for your sins. Okay, there's no forward movement on that attack, though. I gotta make sure I'm actually spaced properly to use it. See that guy with the extra bits around his health bar? They're more or less elite versions of things. They are way more dangerous. Wow, I'm actually gonna die pretty early here if I ain't careful. I feel like I got a lot more ranged enemies this time. What am I gonna do about this? Because I have no healing left on me. I mean, I could leave without getting the reward. At least I think I can leave. I've never tried, actually, now that I think about it. No, for science, let's just run away. It's not something I would normally do. Okay, I can't run away. Noted. Noted and upsetting. We're probably gonna die here because I don't have any health. Kill him. This guy's the problem. Because he's got these fire skulls. Was there one just hovering there that I landed on? I straight up didn't see it. I saw the 3 go forward. I'm like, okay, they'll have flown past there by the time I land. One sec. Okay. I've been waiting. The successor. I knew this was where the successors defied death and are reborn. I was afraid a good one would keep me waiting a long time, but you showed up quickly. You've died many times, haven't you? You knew. My name is Andes, the previous successor. It's noble for a retired successor to find and nurture the next in line. That's where I don't fit in. I'm just here to investigate the rift in this village, which is different from the ones we've seen before. It's personal. But they say the successor has already arrived here, and waiting to see what he's up to. Looks like you could use a little help. If you don't mind, I'd like to give you some advice as a senior. The successors each have unique abilities. They can manipulate the elements, work with blood, or speak with spirits. I have such abilities. I am skilled with this great sword and artifacts. Drakons are usually good with artifacts. Maybe because I'm close to a dragon. Who knew? Still, I'm very good at identifying objects of will and unlocking their potential. If you've ever used the artifacts on the altar, an average person would need help understanding the power of more than one artifact. But the successors born with the power of the runes must harness it, and all the previous successors have harnessed the power of artifacts. Each artifact has a different will, but some have similar powers. They resonate with each other, amplifying their power. Have you noticed? Oh, you mean that thing that pops up above my head that says I have synergies? Wait, what are you talking about? Don't worry about it. In that regard, I think you're the most in need of experience with more artifacts. Take this first. It's a jar of as-yet unidentified artifacts. I'm told that Drakan and the merchant group takes care of artifacts. If you show him this, I'm sure it'll be pretty favorable. You'll get more artifacts. When you're ready, I'll tell you the next step. Luck. Okay, bye. Can't go in purple. Okay. Don't worry, everyone, I will save the day at this speed. Ooh. Now we're actually in town and there's all kinds of stuff here. Like this, where you can determine world difficulty, except we haven't unlocked any other difficulties because I did a bad job. Got a full-on stash here where you can put all kinds of things you find. Take note of the fact that the item that was in our inventory is still there. We don't actually lose our items when we die, despite this being kind of on a roguelike setup. What you do lose is all of your skill points and all of your artifacts, but your items are retained. Face I've not seen before. I wander in no uniform, or are you the successor the older man spoke of? Successor, you're as dark as rumored. What? There's storm cloud over my head? What's your issue here, man? What's up? At least you don't look like a monster. You're in a bad enough situation that you can't even dwell on the character of the people who capture demons. I sell a variety of equipment in this town. Do you know that they gather all those who are capable of fighting here, not just soldiers? It's easier than ever to get equipment. When you die, your weapon won't be lost. My role is to keep the wheel of the wielder alive. Is that too much for a merchant to say? Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I'm just saying you're not the only successor. Well, that's good information if I'm not the only one. Okay, he's actually got a decent variety of things. Notice the fact that he's not selling it for gold, though. He's selling it for these gems. So I guess since he's acting as kind of a meta progression thing, that's why he's basically operating under meta currency. I mean, sure. Go ahead and take my shitty thing that I'm not going to be using. And give me a little bit more cash. I'm kind of sad I didn't keep the test file now, because I actually had a decent amount of gear on that file, because I went more than 3 rooms in before I died. But I also think I got a worse roll on some of those rooms. Take note of the fact that different weapons have different attack speeds, by the way. You're going to want to keep that in mind in terms of what trade-offs you're going to want to make. You should probably grab this belt. His 5 strength seems like it'll be pretty nice. That's a pretty good axe, I think. It's a little slower than my sword, but 11% more physical damage and just straight up higher physical damage does seem like a winner. But I'm not going to go crazy on buying things right now, because I feel like a lot of this is going to get replaced rather quickly. I just wanted to at least buy something to give me a leg up, considering I did a bad job. Can't enter when Lippa's not here. Please mind your manners. I'm off to the Gallatin Cave to get ingredients for a potion. Stick around for more impressive potions. Interesting. So, there's another layer that I just realized to this. That's not the same NPC I started with in my other file. I found a different NPC, I think, based on what I did and what I found in the other file. There was a big blacksmith with a hammer that was around here last time. He was like right over here when I did my test file. So there's some variables. I don't know if it's because I didn't find a different weapon or if I didn't because I didn't find a blue item before I died. Because I found at least one blue item, but I had also opened multiple end of fight chests that had a bunch of different things in it, so I don't know which item triggered his existence. Apparently you've got more things to say, so I guess I'll talk to you some more, old lady. Good to see you. How does it feel to live beyond your own death? I would be pleased if you would accept this as part of your mission. Accept what? Accept dying? I'm kind of already on that line. I'm already there. It's kind of hard not to accept it when you've already died. It's one of those, you can't really argue with it once it's already happened. But once more into the breach. Now that I'm not in tutorial brain, I should do a bit better of a job. So I'm not going to be focusing on explaining all of the mechanics and everything that I already had uncovered. So I should be a little more attentive to my surroundings. But like, you'll notice, we got a completely different spawn setup this time. Still archers that I'm still not paying enough attention to, so I'm getting tagged. But like there's a difference in the ratio of like archers and spearmen and swordsmen, because there was only the one archer this time. I mean, this hole. Some things seem to be consistent, like there's always a wolf down here. We got very lucky seeing a rare item. I didn't see one at all, even on the successful run before. So we get some dexterity and intelligence from that. Okay. Core stats already look a lot better than they did last time. Crazy concept, your stats looking good when you've got 3 different stats being buffed, huh? Wacky stuff there, really. Crazy. And if I'm gonna keep finding potions, I may as well heal then. Because there's still another potion back at the other spot. So if it comes down to it, I can go grab that. Which, let me tell you, they're being super generous with those. And I ain't gonna get to make use of that one. Currency or artifact? I feel like making yourself stronger with artifacts early on makes more sense than going for currency. But the keys, though. The keys. I don't know what the advantage to the keys are yet. Okay, fire was fun, but didn't really give us a big advantage. Let's try ice this time. See if chilling things and potentially, hopefully slowing? Yeah, that reduces move speed, and if they get 5 stacks, they freeze. So that seems like it'll be useful. I'm gonna stick with the artifact plan for the moment. Bah. You're kidding, right? Attacking an enemy has a 50% chance to increase your highest of strength, dexterity, or intelligence by 15 for 5 seconds. So you're saying I'm randomly gonna get double intelligence every other hit for 5 seconds? That seems absurd. Later on, it's gonna become nothing as the stats go up, but right now that seems like madness. Ooh. Max resources increased by 25. Each artifact you destroy increases it further. Neat. Critical chance and critical damage. I mean, I see why these are common artifacts, because they're kind of bland. This one, though, this is gonna be ridiculous if this works out as well as it sounds like it will. Which I thought the critical hit one was gonna be great, too, and then I died like a bitch. So, you know, there's always that. But, you know, dying is always an option, unfortunately. No matter how powerful you get, death will always be around the corner. Hey, we got a key this time. So chests can just have keys. Okay. We seem to be rolling poorly on the whole chilling them thing. And you might be wondering why I'm just mindlessly attacking sometimes. It's because I'm trying to get a better gauge on the hit stun in this game. You can also keep upgrading a specific skill, which arguably might be a good idea to just sit there and power up your primary attack. Extra magic damage on critical hits. That could be good. Vulnerable stacking could be good. Okay. Chilled only does movement speed, whereas slowed does attack speed and movement speed. Does that slowdown stack? If so, their movement speed's gonna be non-existent if both of those hit. That's 30% and then another 30% on their move speed. The only problem with that, though, enemies don't really move that much so far. But I am going to go ahead and make our ice sword stronger and see how the 10% extra damage plays out for us. The logic there being the shield's gonna keep buffing our magic damage, so the extra 10% is gonna be more meaningful than some of the other options would have been immediately. Let's use our key and see what we get. Fucking Bubkiss. Well, that was great. Glad I did that. Glad I spent my key on the worst chest in the video game. Increase skill points by 1. That seems great. Increase strength by 6. Also good. Max life increased by 15. Not bad. Not as impressive. I think I'm going to take the free skill point. Like, a free skill point seems like just a winning choice. 6 strength is quite a bit when you consider our strength right now is 9, so that would have pushed us to 15. So Lightning Frenzy didn't really impress me. The problem with it is it's a stationary attack, which it seems really good if you have like a stationary larger target. You could probably chew through them pretty well with that, used properly, but not super my thing right now. Leap Slash could be fun, but I feel like that's going to get me into a lot of trouble. We're already in ice, so I don't feel like I want Frost Arrow, which kind of leaves me with these 4, and we already discussed this one at the moment. I'm gonna try Lightning Rush, even though I feel like it's gonna get me in trouble, much like Flame Leap would. Though the 30% chance to paralyze an Orb of Fire is why I used it before, but again, I used it before, so I'm trying to use new things. Okay, that's not that long a dash, so that should actually be okay. Wait. Did I pick up another key, or did that key not get used? So I still have a key down there. Huh. I'm gonna have to pay attention when I open the next chest to see if it actually uses up the key or not. What do you got for me this time, sicko? Attack speed up. Not bad. Try again, though. I'm actually gonna take the damage reduction, and yeah, it heals when you pick it up. That's what I figured. Hi there. Rakan the Artifact Keeper. Okay. Successor, I've heard from Sicko. Your last trip must have been difficult with no source of artifacts. I know that the successors are not only reliant on their own abilities, but on how they use their artifacts. And since artifacts lose their power after death, you'll need more. What? You don't seem to know much about artifacts, do you? You are a successor, right? The use and care of artifacts are both essential and natural for successors. What were you thinking, fighting demons all this time? Well, I apologize if my pretense of the knowledge of successors was unfair. I didn't mean to worry you. I'm no stranger to rumors about the successor, but I tend to be a little less understood than most. It's a complicated story. Let's skip ahead. What is this? It's an artifact that is yet to be revealed. Where did you get it? I doubt the successor, who knows little about artifacts, would have the ability to find something like this. It would take a Druven rune speaker from the north or a Drakan with good sensitivity to find it. Drakan, the previous generation's successor. I do recognize one familiar face. Give it to me. It might be worth studying. In exchange, I'll let you buy the artifact I'm showing you. Examine it carefully. Don't get too close, just look at it. If you touch it, you'll have to buy it. You don't want too many artifacts. If you get greedy, you might not be able to use any of them. Artifacts are basically vessels of thought. The mind is always more pure than a single unified will. Moreover, if what happens when wills that are not your own are mixed in, you lose your mind. For the average human, that would end in death, but not for the successors. They become corrupt. Or they become a body incapable of holding an artifact. Ah, so that's what these shelves were. Okay, so that's his shop now. Very good, very good. We've seen that one already. Well, this just seems fitting, huh? Getting a lightning hook when we picked a lightning ability. Extra magic attack, and when you're attacking an enemy, a 30% chance to strike them with lightning bolts. Like, this is okay. This is not bad, but, this. Okay, you can buy as many of them as you want, too, as long as you can afford them. This time we're a bit poor, so I can't go crazy with that. This wasn't here before. Probably worth keeping in mind. Green values increase with level, brown values are static. Good to know. Oh, that's Lipa. Hello, you're here to help the town? Dressed differently from the mercenaries. It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Ripa, or Lipa, depending on whether you read my text or my label. Either one. And I'm a merchant who sells trinkets. Unfortunately, I can't show you my wares here. Kinda hard to carry them all around, you know? There's a lot of them. I left them all in town. If you're interested, you can find me in town. I run my shop alongside the house of the merchant who sells equipment. I don't bother using his name because, you know, you'll figure out what he does by looking at him. Oh, you met Granders already, have you? I'm his wife. You must have heard about our daughter, Joan, from my husband. Did I? Sure, you know, I'm just going to agree. Whether I have or haven't, I'm just going to agree with you. Joan is traveling with the merchant group. As a mother, I'm always worried, but my husband thinks she should experience the world. Well, yeah, you can't coddle them too much or they're going to learn nothing, and the second you aren't there, they're going to get killed by something anyway. I asked Clara to deliver something to our daughter. Well, she's not doing a very good job of that since she's sitting in town right now. The guards helped me get here, but Joan had already traveled through the elemental forest. I was wondering if I should turn back, as it seemed like a lot of work for them to take care of me and come all the way here. You are probably making it significantly harder for them to move forward. Could you deliver something to my daughter for me? I do have multiple deliveries heading her way now. I have a necklace with magical powers, and I'd like to give it to her to help as she follows the merchant group. Thank you for doing me a favor. If you're ever in town, be sure to stop by. Okay, I can't make use of the necklace till I can bring it to her. Sometimes games will let you use those things, and I'm like, you know, I could use all the help I can get. Off we go, back to the place I died before. Now you have something else to say, huh? I know what the Vine Spirit said in Longmore's dark thoughts about the humans disturbing and destroying the forest. It's tempting to keep humans out and create a forest only for the spirits. It's natural. It's a troubling thought for the tree spirits who guard the forest, for me as well. However, in the end, it is our duty to honor the dignity of all life. Longmore could not. He loved the forest too much. Now it's a forest for spirits, just as he wanted, but it is all dry. Increased potion carrying capacity, just like the other one, but increased max life instead. Okay. Max life and max resources. Potions again, please. Maybe this time when I find two of them, I'll actually get to use both. There's a little bit of awkwardness to the controls now and then. Like, you'll notice after I dashed there, I couldn't attack for him. There was just that little bit of delay, which it's not a problem, but it's something I'm gonna have to adjust to and learn about as we go. See what pairs into what and what I can work with. There we go. Eliminate the elite first, and since he wasn't throwing fire skulls everywhere, it was a lot easier. Don't get me wrong, I'm not claiming that anything would be extra difficult or anything because of the fact that I can't rush them down. If anything, it's better that I can't rush them down, but it does cause me complications when I can't do what I do best of just charge in and massacre, or in the early parts. Ooh, damage reduction while I use that. At the very least, I'm gonna grab this because this seems just like a huge upgrade for Lightning Rush. Because it's basically adding 3 attacks to it. I do like that the enemies are marked on my minimap, so I know what I'm getting into as I'm going around. Now, you may have noticed there that the grabbing box for the weapon, for the items on the ground in general, really, is a little weird. Because it definitely is. Like, now and then I've had to walk to the left of something in order to pick it up, is the interact to the right of it just doesn't work. 8% more magic damage is nice, but I'm gonna lose 4 intelligence. How much of a difference would that make? As soon as I can actually get my core stat thing to open. Okay, so it increases by 50% of intelligence, so I would lose 8 magic attack? Yeah, because... Actually, no, because it's 50% of intelligence, not double intelligence, so I'd be losing 2. So that's not bad. I would go down to 8. So that's not really a problem, and what did dexterity do? That affects ranged weapons, which we haven't seen. So I'm not worried about that. So I think I am better off actually switching to the magic weapon instead of the rare weapon. We just got a bad roll on the rare, I think. So our attacks are going to be a little slower. Now you'll notice a disappointing thing in that we're still swinging a sword even though we have an axe now. They didn't add new animations for the different weapons. And I don't know if that'll get added or if that's just not something they're going to worry about. And honestly, either way, it's fine. It's just one of those noticeable things that can take people out of the game occasionally if you see something like that. So best to just address it and be done with it. 25% extra damage on Lightning Rush. We can start grabbing things up here now, too. Extra damage to elites while your assistant skill's active, which is these things over here. You can amplify each of the elemental things, and each one gives you a damage aura as well. Which, since our primary attack is cold, we'll go ahead and take cold amplification. And before long, we'll be able to go up here and start getting some of these. which I might take one of the 2 fire abilities just so we have all of the elements covered. Even though logically I probably should actually lean back into ice since we have ice amplification. I just don't know if anything with immunities starts showing up, and that's why I kind of want to have coverage. Is the Diablo feel of everything kind of makes me worried about immunities. It was quite a big problem in some of the older Diablos that you'd run into things that are immune to the only damage type you had if you focused too hard on one. Okay, it does use up the key, as logic would have. And resource restoration on kill, and of course just the 10 armor of having an actual hat on your head. Also, I'm kind of blind apparently because I'm gonna bring the cursor up for this. I didn't notice these here. Somehow I just missed this completely. Way to go, brain. Good job. Proud of you. The you that is me. Advanced soul gem or currency? Soul gem, please. I have decent confidence in how this is going at the moment. We don't have mastery skills, so that's useless to me as far as I can assume. Actually, I think they're all labeled, so... Yeah, these are mastery skills up here. And those are ultimate skills, so yeah, we're not gonna want that yet. That'll be great when we get to that point, but I feel like the 30 armor would be a better idea right now. Because that took us to twice as much armor as we had. And I'm not normally one for going all in on durability, as we all know. But at a time like this, durability might be required. Another wood talisman. Talismans. Okay. Apparently either you don't get keys much in the first run, or I was just getting super unlucky twice in a row, because now we're just seeing keys all over the place. Okay, so that's a hard counter to the spearmen if you stand on top of them, because they seem to not be able to throw on their own location. And they don't, at least they don't seem to have a melee attack. Or I suppose they should be more called a javelineer, since there were guys with spears that attack at close range already. But either way, what's in the box? God, these ruby chests are bad, you know? I'm kind of glad I didn't have the ability to open those before, because I would have just been preemptively disappointed instead of currently disappointed. Okay, do extra damage to things that are cold already. What are these again? Oh yeah, this one relies on critical hits. Enchantment's pretty good. What's one do again? Ooh. Yes. Yes. Give me a high chance to freeze my enemies. Yes. Yes. I feel like I need some control. Oh. That's perfect for the setup we're doing right now. Shield deals 200% cold damage as magic attack when dispelled. I assume in this case dispelled also applies to timing out. So that could be incredible. So that's also really good. A 1 in 4 chance to be able to evade twice. And of course this stuff again. But I feel like I have to take this just because it's perfect for all of the chill effects we have going right now. So if we cycle over here, we've got a lot of ones is the only problem. We don't really have any synergies going, because none of these matched. Which I could have upgraded a couple synergies if I had grabbed one of the other choices, but the items themselves weren't that good. At least not to my eye. Home of Longmore. Suspicious platforms around a tree with lots of faces on it. What could possibly go wrong? Meet Longmore, the first boss of the game. You can only hurt him while he's got the red bits sticking out. You gotta chase after whichever head has the red stuff. And watch out for some really nasty attacks. This is where I died in my test play. I died to Longmore. This Longmore is brutal. Especially if he keeps using this attack. Just gonna go ahead and heal again preemptively, because I don't know if I'd survive another proper hit. Why do you keep spamming that move? I used it once in the test fight. Not that the other moves it used were much better, like that one. But apparently I can't dash through that, so that's good to know. Ow. Yeah, the biggest problem I have is I'm having trouble predicting where those tendrils are gonna come up, is why that attack's so dangerous to me right now. I thought the attacks were based on which head was active, but that's clearly not true. And I got stunned. I couldn't get out of that. Because you may have noticed that I didn't move after the first hit, and then my jump got canceled on the second one. I tried to dash out of that, and it just didn't let me. That was still better than the first time I fought Longmore, though. I'll give it that. I made more progress in that fight than when I first fought him, despite the nastier attack being thrown constantly. So that's good? Question mark? Not really sure if that's good or not. Yeah, we could just travel straight away. There he is. Come to the right place if you're looking for the town's blacksmith. I'm the best in the neighborhood. But it's no use because I don't have a hammer. Not this sledgehammer I'm holding, but a proper hammer. A rune-encrusted hammer draws on the power of sealed equipment and transforms them to suit the user. Isn't that cool? I think so too. It's pretty cool, except I don't have it. The hammer is in a monastery. Do you know anything about the Stolen Monastery? It's a demon-infested monastery beyond the elemental forest. I used to go there often to forge the monks' weapons. You'd think they'd be peaceful folk, but they really needed a lot of weapons. It's crazy. Training is essential for monks too. Their equipment always breaks during training. They're surprisingly rough with it. I hear the doctors have to go over there all the time too, for broken bones. Monk Dyke, a monk in charge of training new monks, took pride in calling me to the monastery often. You know, I don't know about that one. I feel like that's not something you should be proud of having to do. Sure, that means you're probably training strong people if they're breaking their gear often, but I also feel like maybe instilling some care in the gear they're using might not be a bad idea. We grew close as we mended our broken gear. I was also at the monastery that day, and the demons appeared at the end of the service. When I tried to take the people to safety, the demons came like rats from the armory. Dyke asked me to take the remaining people to safety. Then he decided to hide, leaving stranded monks in the depths of the monastery. So he abandoned everyone. Great. I'm not sure I have any confidence in anybody he trained now that you told me that. He saw my hesitation and placed a hand on my shoulder, reassuring me that I would return with everyone. And with confidence, he said the runic hammer would be mine. I recognized the cowardice of my decision to believe him in that moment. I mean, it doesn't sound like he was that much better on that score. It's been a long time since then, but Dyke is not one to die easily, and I believe it. Successor, I suppose you've come to slay all the demons that have appeared here? Well, maybe not all of them. Sounds more like I was told to seal the rift more than killing every demon. But, you know, if it gets in my way, it's not gonna live as long as it doesn't kill me first. If so, I need you to go to the monastery and check on his welfare or on my behalf. And I assume get your hammer as well while I'm at it. I have a daughter named Joan. She just came of age and likes to get out of town. Yeah, your wife just told me about her. Oh, you met my wife? Yeah. She's great, right? Well... You're both a little crazy. She's been traveling with some of the mercenaries who've been hanging around here for a while now, and she says she's going to sell some of her stuff to my wife and me. You know, if she's only just now come of age, maybe her running around with a bunch of mercenaries isn't the greatest idea. But at the same time, she's got to learn at some point. At first, I was reluctant. Many of the people in this village have lost loved ones, and I reminded her I could become one of them. I mean, you could die in town just as easily as she can die out there at the rate this has been going. But her eyes were already looking beyond the village. I knew that there was no stopping my daughter's sense of adventure. Joan introduced us to some guy, assuring us that there was someone in the mercenaries who could ensure her safety. There was a man named Logan. He was an older man with gray hair, but a young man's body. He said Joan would be in no danger if he would travel with a giant and a dragon. Oh, so she's with that group. Okay. The one with the weird little chef dwarf. Yeah, that group. Yeah. I wouldn't trust non-humans, which I'd only seen a few times in my life, but the man seemed trustworthy. Apparently Logan was an expert mercenary in the desert empire of Bashubu for many years. You can't ignore the wisdom that comes with experience. I convinced my wife. This is our chance to show Joan the world. You'll find the merchants outside the village. Between them, please check it in on my daughter once in a while to see how she's doing. If you can afford it, buy some of her goods. Most of what she sells is stuff my wife and I handle, so you can trust the quality. Well, I don't really trust your quality to begin with, considering you're selling me things like nail clubs. So, you're not really making a sale by telling me it's the same quality as what you're peddling. Look at this trash. Look at all this. Look at it. Look at what you've done. You think I'm going to buy your daughter's stuff after you tell me that? Shameful. Shameful. Here, instead, take my things. Now, get out of my sight. Oh yeah, Lipa's home now, so I should probably go buy things from her. If she's got anything good. Hello, have you met my little girl? I've heard that the forest with its corrupted vine spirits is complex for even the most experienced soldiers. I hope the items I have will help you on your journey ahead. See, this is slightly better. You at least got some blue items and some items for slots that I didn't already have full. So I can appreciate that. Mostly I need rings at the moment. So I want that one. I think torn between this one and this one. The extra fire damage I feel like will be more immediately useful than a small bit of resource restoration. His resource restoration in this case is just my mana, as far as I can tell. So it doesn't really improve my situation on the whole. What does my current necklace do? Garbage. Garbage is what it does. So I probably want this as well. The physical damage boost isn't particularly useful to me, but the 6 intelligence is, because that's 3 more magic attack on top of the +1 it gives already. The other option would be this one for the attack speed, which as you all know, I'm all about attack speed. I feel like this is a better choice. Not that I really have to agonize over my purchases that much. As usual, all of this is probably going to get replaced. I was in the sell menu. Why did that get discarded? Because I pushed the sell, what was usually the sell button. I guess she doesn't buy things. Well, fuck you then. Go sell it to your husband. Yeah, see, he'll buy it. He's a sucker. He'll buy garbage. Oh yeah, that's the potion shop. We still can't do anything there yet. You have no glowing thing over your head, so I'm going to assume you have nothing of use for me right now. Okay. One who has taken an oath to defend the people. What the hell are you talking about? Captain Roten said something like that to the guards the other day. It's all bull. This whole guard thing in this backwater town, it's like falling into a barrel of sweet honey. It was nice. It was a nice moment for me to drink with the soldiers. It's better when soldiers... Oh god, I cannot read this fast enough. Fine. We'll just watch what they're saying. Because I can visually read it all, I just can't read it aloud fast enough for the time that the text disappears. You know, y'all are hanging out right above where some enemies are, you know. You could be doing your job and killing these guys. But I guess you're just up there to protect the town, huh? And whatever. But let the weird magic guy go do all the work, because he can die and come back. Yeah, the reason why I was even considering the one that gives physical attack increased is right now we do actually need physical damage, is we don't have a magic attack yet. Like, in the super early game, before you get even one level, you kind of need physical damage. But as soon as you're out of this section of the game, unless you're doing a weird run where you don't take a magic attack, which seems like insanity considering everything in the skill tree seems to revolve around magic. You know. But we've tried out fire and ice. Let's go back to what I used originally, which was the Sword of Lightning. I'm basically just gonna keep cycling until we've at least seen all of them in use. And then I'll start cherry picking for what seems like the most effective ones. I mean, that's just a flat upgrade weapon-wise, but it doesn't have a damage bonus on it, so I don't think we want that. Is a 0.05 attack speed increase is not worth it for losing 8% damage. But it is nice to start seeing some more weapon variety showing up. That's all the enemies dead. I guess since they're all skeletons and such for the most part, dead again, but you get the idea. Soul gem, please. 6 dexterity, 6 intelligence, or 15 health. Intelligence. We're up to 24 intelligence. I can't help but feel that there's a massive gulf between my intelligence and all of my other stats. And this is fine. Oh, okay, so if I'm going for freezing, I should actually not use other elemental attacks. Okay. Because I saw that tooltip there for a moment where it told us that if you hit something with a non-ice attack that's frozen, it unfreezes. 30% chance to daze as well as jolting. That seems really good, and I had that before. What I really want is to go into Sword of Chain Lightning, I think. Because I've been spreading myself between a variety of moves so we have a variety of moves, but I think this time I'm going to try focusing on the bottom tier just to make our basic attack really good. Because as you've been noticing probably, I have a bad habit of not using my other moves. So if I just don't have other moves, I have nothing to waste spaces on. It makes perfect sense. It may not be the best idea, but it makes perfect sense. I also probably should have looked at what Dazed does before getting excited using it, huh? Oh well. Swap those because damage reduction is nice and one more attack is always good. Ow, my face. For some reason I thought I could just casually walk under that shot. But what I should have done was either dash or duck probably, and I would have been fine. Or soul gems. Strength by 6, dex by 6, armor by 15. But yeah, let's go back over here. Oh, Dazed is actually not that useful. And Jolted doesn't do what I thought it did, because it looked like it was stunning things, but I think what was happening is they were getting hit stunned by the electricity jumping from one target to another. And I misread that visually. The 15% increased crit chance on things that are dazed is nice, but that's not what I thought that was doing, and I should have paid more attention before. Something I need to point out, though. Notice how it underlines electrocuted, but it doesn't tell you what electrocuted means. That's a bit of tool tipping that needs to be fixed, because everything else seems to prompt properly. Oh, there we go. This one tells it for some reason, even though it's not listed in this one at all. That's where the stuns are coming from. When they're electrocuted, they take extra crit damage and can't move. Okay, now I understand. Now we're getting somewhere. Also, apparently the maximum amount of points you can be awarded is 70? That is gonna be a lot of points going into things. Because this isn't that huge a tree. It's a pretty big tree, but it's not like, oh my god, Path of Exile big or something. Which, something like that in an in-run skill tree would be kind of wild. Hey, what's that? Your equipment could be better. Your successors are so far removed from death that they think they can do whatever they want. Looking at your weapons, I can see how you think. Do you think you can just hit enemies a few times with that and be done with it? There are many rumors about successors. If you're not going to fuel the rumors, change your gear. You can't fight demons with ordinary equipment. You have to fight them with powerful, magically enchanted equipment. Did you know that some equipment seals its power deep inside when it loses its owner? You can't just pick up a piece of equipment from the battlefield and use its power right away. I mean, the sharp edge on this thing still works if I smack somebody with it. This is exactly what I mean. You're a fucking idiot. I can sense the aura of sealed equipment, and I've been traveling the battlefields collecting them. Call it grave robbing and looting if you wish, but I got there first. To break the seals, I need a gemstone, which holds magical powers possessed by demons. Of course I need gems. I'm old, and I'm not a dwarven runecaster. So the only way to retrieve that power is to smash the gem into the sealed equipment. Bring me the gem, and I'll unlock the power sealed within and give it to you. Of course, I believe you'll pay me a small fee for my labor. If you're interested, come to the town of Cliffshire and find me. I'll get the equipment. You know, he totally doesn't have any of that equipment on him right now, with the giant bags of things he's clearly carrying. Urkheim was an experienced warrior, though I don't know much about his past. He's not the friendly type, so I'm told. Injuries have left him less than half as strong as before. He's still good at slaying the occasional demon. He's a useful man. I heard he had a different name as a warrior. I didn't hear it. Or did I? I don't remember. Well, that was helpful. Physical attack. Extra armor isn't a bad idea. Attack speed and movement speed. Let's try that this time. That is a noticeable increase, okay. At first, everyone looks at me as if they're seeing something mysterious. I thought I'd grown accustomed to it all, but one look in your eyes and I realized that's not the case. I also can't afford your wares, so that's unfortunate. Oh wow, 50-50 chance to inflict chill without having an ice attack. Okay. Extra physical attack and a chance to cause vulnerable. Are they counting my corpses? Is that what this is? I don't like that they're pulsing. I have concerns. I feel like them pulsing is bad. Running through the camp. Don't mind me. Didn't see the daughter anywhere, but I think they mentioned that she got pretty far. Zlippa was looking for her and couldn't find her. And she was told that she had gone past the elemental forest, which I guess is the withered forest? They've been naming things two different ways a bunch, and I don't know why. You don't have anything to say this time. 30% extra life or flat 35. I feel like with the amount I have right now, the flat 35 is slightly better, but this is going to become better over time, because right now it's going to give just under 35? Because 30% of 100 is 30. And then the 15 means it's going to be like 31, 32, probably 31. Or my math is bad and I got 35 anyway. Okay. Feel like that math doesn't math, but I'm not gonna argue with it. Actually, no, I am an idiot. Now that I think about it, giving at least 3 made sense, because if 30% of 100 is 30, then 30% of 10 should be 3. I should know this because it's basic goddamn mathematics, but I don't always think everything through. Because all it is a difference of a single zero. Speaking of a difference of a single zero, I should probably be spending that skill point I'm sitting on right now. But I'll do so after this room's over, because I don't want to throw off my groove at this point, since this room's going well. Just successfully autopiloting through that room without thinking about it. But I'm going to commit to what I was talking about. We're just going to power up this attack until I feel like it's good. 35% chance to make enemies vulnerable, or releasing lightning bolts. I wanted the chain lightning one. Oh, you only get one or the other. That makes sense. It's the same way those usually work. The chain lightning will be great for groups. The vulnerable would have been better for boss fights, because it makes a single target easier to kill. Reduce skill cooldown, 3% chance to get free life potions. With a 3-second cooldown on that, you're pretty safe on getting it to happen if the odds land. 30% increased physical damage when you have 60% or more resources. Okay. 7% attack speed and critical damage of mastery skills when you have 100 or more resources. I'm gonna take this one on the chance that we get at least a health potion out of it. Also should be reading those descriptions, because it looks like they might actually be interesting. But I'm kind of just like in fly forward mode right now. I just want to new them. And I'm assuming since nobody's been screaming about their ears or anything that the sound balance is fine. If it isn't, someone please do yell at me. Because I checked it before I started, but we all know that's never a guarantee. Since I didn't check it at full tilt, fighting 5 or 6 guys at a time, because I wasn't going to be able to do that particularly well, because the attention would be on the fight at that point. Unless I just stand there and die. Yeah, we're not getting keys again now. It seems very swingy as to whether you're going to get keys or not get keys. Which is unfortunate to say the least. Yeah, we're all the way up here to getting amplification now. Which, if I'm focusing on my basic attack, I should at least get amplification, because that will work well with that. Sure, more artifacts. Which artifact did I pick before? Food and time. Okay. This is the only one that would give me a synergy, and that would be a synergy for reducing mastery skill cooldown, which is not helpful to us right now. And the dash-based bonuses are nice, but not something I'm that worried about. Ooh. Hunter's Feather's very good for our current setup. Attacking jolted enemies has a 30% chance to critically strike for 5 seconds with 12% increases. I don't know if that means that the chance increases by 12%, or if it like does 12% increased critical damage or something. The writing on that's a little funky. I don't want to call this out this way, but I feel like to a certain degree this game was machine translated from a different language. Is some of the phraseology is just that little bit weird. And this is not bad. Dodge chance and movement speed just straight up aren't a bad thing to have, but I feel like I absolutely have to have this Hunter's Feather with the current setup we have. Closest of a dragon's entourage, or dragon close proximity. Okay. Yeah, I don't have a skill to hit all of the enemies that are going to be spawning here with, but I'm hoping that the chain lightning will do the job well enough. Okay, he's dropping spawns. We're doing very good damage progress right now. Okay, there's the tentacles. What I need to do is what I'm doing right now, which is taking my time more. Don't rush the fight. Try to dodge and weave a bit, rather than sitting there face tanking everything to try to power through it. Get quicker. You know, it's this crazy thing known as dodging your enemy instead of just beating your face against him. Is really, if you're not trying to rush this fight's not that bad. Again, aside from this attack and the one, like, tooth attack. Because even this attack's not bad unless you get hit stunned like that by it, which, you know, no sooner did I say something did I get fucked. Thankfully, fight's over. That almost went from fine to fucked very rapidly. Acquired Resolute Vow. Reduces amount of damage you take by 17%. Yeah, I saw a tooltip show up that said you get legendary gear from bosses, and yeah, that's legendary, alright. Flat 17% damage reduction on top of giving 15 armor and a resistance and resource restoration. It's not the best legendary you've ever seen, but it's not bad. It's a little unfortunate that this leather pauldron gives the same amount of armor as this big old suit of plate armor looking thing, but you know, no need to question that too hard. The sad thing is, if this didn't have that orange text at the bottom, I would be replacing it straight up with the leather. Is that 6 extra dexterity and the 6 dodge chance. But hey, we have chest armor now. Didn't have that the entire time. So we just flat have more armor than we did before. And we get to make forward progress. Hooray! Not descendant from dragons, but have inherited their traits and transformed through generations of dedicated service. Interesting. You're coming from the area where Longmore is. Does that mean you've defeated him? I see. His cries shook the forest, so I knew it to be so. My name is Morgan. I was a herbalist of the Forest of Spirits when it was full of life. I have remained unable to leave, but now that my friend Longmore has been put to rest... rest? There is nothing left for me here. Here is my elixir. I hope it will be of help. Your max life is increased and you gain experience faster. I will return to Cliffshire. Okay. I guess that's just a passive bonus? Question mark? If you see me stuck on this menu now and then, by the way, that's because my triggers don't seem to be moving me around that much. Like, now and then they just don't work. Oh yeah, we also have a Fehu rune now, which does whatever that means. Who knows what these do yet? I'm sure we'll figure it out. I assume we can, like, add those runes to things. I don't know where that elixir went. It's in some span of my inventory somewhere. Like, I see it over there on the left. See? It's right there. Oh, okay, it's just like the food. You have that elixir effect until it's replaced or you die. Okay. That's a pretty good effect, though. Extra health and free experience gain. Tree Spirit Longmore was the most beautiful spirit in the Forest of Spirits. This fall must have broken Morgan's heart. Now he's at rest. Are those Longmore's horns you're holding? Give them to me. I will purify them. Perhaps with this horn we can clear the blood vines that have been blocking the entrance of Gallatin Cave. You sounded so confident that it would work before. Why are you doubting it now? After I've done the work for it. For more information about the cave, speak to the captain of the guard, Rotan. He rotates. It's weird. I look forward to seeing you next time. May you always walk in the light. Well met. Are you with the reinforcements sent by the Order? I see you're alone. I suppose the others will join later. Are you the only reinforcements? This is the first time I've seen a successor, and I'm truly pleased to meet you, but... it's hard to believe that our only choice is to place faith that you're the one who can succeed. In lieu, I pray. Bring you up to speed, we're guarding the entrance of Gallatin Cave, which is covered in blood vines. The vines prevent us from entering the cave from the outside and the monsters from leaving the cave. However, just as suddenly as the vines appear, they can disappear again, and the monsters in the cave may attack the village. The herbalist Morgan believes that the blood vines are the work of a fallen tree spirit. We couldn't defeat it, no matter how many times we tried. Then how did you get to the other side of it, or did you wait till I killed it and then you walked through here and now just pretending you were here the whole time? Oh lord, this is the horn of the tree spirit. You came through the withered forest of spirits. This should get rid of those blood vines. You've defeated Longmore, so you should be able to find out what happened in the cave. Inside the cave is a shrine for one of the Order's holy relics, which has the power to stop demons from entering the cave. Something must have gone wrong with the holy relic, or the demons wouldn't have been able to stir up trouble in the cave. Find the shrine and examine the holy relic. The monsters in the cave are more terrible and powerful than the ones you saw in the forest, so do be careful. Not gonna give me anything to help, just gonna be like, oh yeah, be careful, it really sucks in there. Hello, are you a mercenary too? Are there any mercenaries left for hire around here? Oh, you must be the successor. Hello, I'm Joan. I'm a merchant selling groceries. Speaking of the successors, everyone says they're monsters who have lost all sense of reason due to their bone-crushing training and experiments. No, it's all just rumors, isn't it? They sell things like ruby keys, potions, light armor, and trinkets. Don't worry about the quality. They do come from the most famous merchant couple in Cliffshire. Have you met my parents? Oh no, they must have grabbed someone and shared my story again. They're so worried. But I don't intend to be tied down to the village. While I do get a little, very little help from my parents when I'm looking for items to sell, I want to make things happen for myself. With that in mind, go ahead and buy it. You'll love it. What's this, a necklace? My mom gave it to you? That's pretty sweet that you brought it to me. You could have just taken it and I wouldn't have known. I guess you're not as intimidating as people think, and of course I've never thought that about you. Thank you for the necklace. I'll wear it right away. This is when it's a cursed necklace and her head falls off or something. And I just end up looking like a monster all over again. I'm gonna buy at least 2 of these ruby keys so I have them. I don't need more potions right now because I can't carry more of them. And these items aren't terrible. They're about the same quality as your parents' items, which checks out considering that's where you got them from. But here, do me a solid and take these things. These are yours now. Enjoy. Goodbye. Let's go ahead and have a bit of pie. What do you got? Magic attack up by 15%. Skill cooldown, critical chance. Physical and magical attack both up by 25%. That seems like a winning choice here, really. Unfortunately, it doesn't synergize with anything we have, but it does open up our options a bit. We just need to be careful not to go too crazy with that. Hi, I'm gonna poke your eye out. Ta-da! Into the cave we go, which looks really bad. The further you progress in the higher the difficulty, the better things you get. Well, you seem to be having a bit of trouble there. Hi, I freed you by existing, apparently. Thanks. Because of you, I'm alive. I know I look strange, but there's no need to be wary. I'm an alchemist. You can smell the scent of this blood in the cave, and I thought it might be of help to me. Blood is life itself, and I can't think of a better ingredient for brewing potions and stopping life from slipping away. I know it was crazy to come this far. You didn't really have to come here to save me, but I owe you regardless. Well, if it makes you feel any better, you're kind of just a speed bump on the road I'm taking. You just happen to be in front of me. That doesn't really make me feel better at all. Well, good. It wasn't supposed to. But either way, I'm able. Find the alchemist in town and I'll help you on your arduous journey. And away. Oh, those explode. Okay. I had a feeling when I saw a big guy that looked like he was about to burst standing there that he was gonna explode. I wish I had been wrong about that theory. Ooh, key. Well, no. I mean, a chest that uses a key is what I meant to say there, but you understood, probably. If you didn't, well, you figured it out soon afterwards when I realized it was a chest. It's a real shame that the explosion doesn't hurt his friends. Oh, boy. So I guess most things in here are made out of those blood vines, huh? Blood monsters everywhere. Oh, I already don't like the look of you, sir. Gonna pop up here, amplify, and come back down. Where'd the elite go? There he is. Oh, he's got poison missiles. Can actually get a better look at these guys from here, and the flesh golem over there on the right really just screams, I explode. Most definitely, because he's all stitched together and barely holding himself together as it is. I assume he's protected from ice. Oh no, he bursts out ice periodically when you hit him. Okay. You gotta watch that meter that's above him for whether he's gonna pop the ice, I think. No? Because he popped it without the meter being full. So I don't know what that meant. Wouldn't be the first time I didn't know what I was talking about, but said it with confidence anyway. So that worked out. Oh yeah, I still didn't have gloves yet. We've almost got a full set of gear now. We're just missing boots. Look at us go, getting actual equipment together. Oh good, a key to replace the key I bought that I ended up using. Very good. Is this important? Discord just popped up a thing. I'm just gonna quickly check to make sure it's not relating to tomorrow. Because that could be important. Because remember, I'm doing something different tomorrow. Which we'll get into that more at the end when we have our whole schedule discussion. But the short version is, I might not personally be live, but I will be present in a live stream at usual time. Mobile Discord, please stop being bad. Okay. None of that is vitally important at the minute. I wish mobile Discord would go back to being good. That just seems like a fantastic item, but it doesn't fit my synergies. This is the only unfortunate thing. So getting even the first level of talent would be incredible, because you just gain stats hand over fist, which I'm assuming without that you probably are gaining like 1 to every stat when you level, so tripling that is very good. It either is tripling it, or you might like get 1 randomly increased. Either way, that would be good. I do end up injured a lot, but synergistically doesn't work. In the end though, synergistically, none of these work, so I'm gonna take the good item. His boosted experience means more skill points, and more skill points means we get stronger anyway, regardless of whether anything else works out. Now the question becomes, do I keep committing to the bit? Because the bit is working, but it is only a 10% damage increase each time. Or I push the amplification further, which also doesn't give a lot. I want this actually. Is now I just emit chain lightning whenever lightning amplification's on, which gives me more reason to use it. So this makes nothing but sense. Oh god, it's eating me. Stop eating me. I do not taste good, to my knowledge. Do not wish to have this tested either. What part of don't eat me didn't you get when I told it to the other guy? On the bright side, those explosive guys are very easy to avoid, as long as you're paying any attention. That ice beam, though, hate that. I think that was the elite effect from that other guy. Oh, speaking of elite effects being scary, that was almost bad. I don't know what that would have done to me, but I feel like it would have killed me, regardless of whatever the other effect would have been. There's a world in which I should grab one of these other abilities. Yeah, at the very least I should grab this other passive because it works with what we're doing. Because it just scales our damage, and right now I feel like we might need that a little bit. Amber ornament, huh? Okay. extra strength, skill cooldown, and 1 extra magic attack. And it replaces my 3 damage reduction. You know what? That seems fine. A potion. It's good that these potions are full healed. Otherwise, we'd be having some issues. More issues. Activate the thingy. And go rip and tear through them. Yeah, that's a pretty sizable damage boost, all things considered. Advanced currency is probably more likely to have keys in it, but we're already carrying 1 spare key, so let's get more artifact. Extra critical chance, critical damage, and critical hits against enemies taking damage over time deal half again damage. Ooh. I almost feel like I should take this just because it's a legendary artifact. Also, 1 second. Just had a little bit of something stuck in my throat for a second. Didn't want you all to hear that. I really want assassination, but I need to get 3 of those. Problem is, I'm getting nothing but things that don't match any of the synergies we already have. Oh. Item salad continues, I guess. Boss room? Boss room. And judging from the label there, if you're an arachnophobe, you might not want to watch this boss fight, based on the way this room looks and the fact that it's labeled the spider nest. Just saying. This is your warning. Probably gonna be a weird, creepy blood spider. Oh yeah, that's pretty bad. It's not as bad as I expected, but that's not great to look at. How do you feel about weird blood torture spider? Because that's what that is. It's also kicking my ass. These bosses are pretty harsh. Like, they're not ridiculous particularly, but they hit really hard. Like, you definitely have to be on your guard with these bosses in this game. I did hit the dodge, but I was a split second too late. That's a shame. That was so close to going well. Because we actually were starting to turn that fight. But I was already too badly injured, and with only 1 potion capacity, there was no pushing my way through that one. Still, we learned a fair bit, though. It's good to see you again. I'm sure we'll see each other often here. But I'd rather not come back here that often. I'm just not doing a very good job of avoiding that. I've been thinking about what I can do now that I've left the hut. Clara suggested that I help the successor. I know well how to make medicine, and so I want to share my skill with you. I'll give you an elixir I've created. It's imbued with herbs and the power of spirits. It'll be quite different from Abel's potion, which uses either the blood of living creatures or magical stones. Abel does not particularly like spirits. I really can't drink for him. It's unfortunate for him. My elixir will enhance your abilities for a while. Taking multiple potions won't enhance everything, as the powers of the spirits sometimes clash. I'd recommend taking 1 elixir at a time. What I'm hearing is chug, 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 chug. It's gonna end poorly, but I want to do it though, it'd be funny. Armor increased and experience, sure, that seems like a good idea. It's good to see you here in town. Did you know the items I sell depends on how far you've traveled? The further you go, the higher grade items I can sell. It's not just me, actually. It's everyone. So if you want to complain about me not having better stuff, just go kill more demons. Get good, scrub. Oh, he's a gamble shop. Okay. Well, I know where all of my purple gems are going. Gamble, gamble, gamble. Secondary weapon. Well, right now our gloves are the worst thing we have, so give me something better. I rolled a rare, so that's good. Dexterity and poison resistance. Well, it's better. By a technicality. Let's try for better boots, because when I said that my gloves were the worst thing, that was a lie, because I don't even have boots yet. Okay, got blue. Better helmet? That might be better, we'll find out. Better weapon, secondary, just grab an assortment of things and we'll see if any of those are good. Well, no, not really on that one. That's not bad, but not better. Technically, that in some ways is better. And when I have to phrase it like that, you can tell that that really isn't true. If I wanted to go further into damage, this would be good. But I don't really... We've only seen like one projectile move that I haven't even shown you guys that one really. I would have to go into like Frost Arrow, Fireball, and like the Lightning Orb and such to really leverage projectile damage until we find a ranged weapon. Which isn't the worst idea. Because like the dodge chance really hasn't been helping us, so swapping that I think is worthwhile enough. I'm kind of digging having that fire resist, so I'm not going to get rid of that. I think that's the only trade really that ends up getting made there. You still don't have your hammer, so you're useless. Have you seen my daughter out there? Have you? How is she? No parent would be comfortable sending their daughter to such a dangerous place. Nevertheless, Joanne hasn't written to me, and once she's gone, she rarely returns, which is a bit frustrating for her father. The other day, a bratty mercenary came around and said he had a crush on her and would protect her. Devin, Durian, I'm trying to remember his name. Senior Joanne, what did you think of him? You may not have had time to see this piece of the importance of your mission. Consider what I've said to be just the rantings of a father. I hope you, too, think about things other than killing demons once in a while. I don't know. I spend a lot of time killing demons. I feel like thinking about that's probably a good idea. Thinking about other things is how I've died a few times already. You really don't want to get distracted when you're in a life or death situation, as it turns out. Crazy concept, I know. Paying attention making you live. Wild. Is there stuff hidden? That's where the lady is. We know that already. Looks like there isn't anything really hidden, per se, in here, though. Unless... Nope, that's not it real either. Okay. Well, apparently... Oh yeah, she probably talks about her daughter, too. How's my daughter doing? I'm glad to hear she wore the necklace right away. I was worried she would leave it behind because it didn't suit her or she didn't like the color. Thank you. It's like a tracking device or something, isn't it? I'm just enabling creepy parent behavior. Welcome back to town. What do you think of my lab? I traveled all the way to that dangerous cave to create a more potent potion. You also healed up rather quickly, so your potions can't be all bad. A lot has happened, but I found a clue. It still needs improvements, though. To increase the potion's effectiveness, obtain the magic stones that demons and monsters drop when they die. I don't need blood, and I can't ask you to bring a monster in alive. Demons' magic stones harbor their life force just as much as their blood inside their body does. The more magic stones I have, the better the potions will be. Ah, this'll make my potions better. Wait, though. Oh, because it does a bunch of immediate health and then life over time. That's how it's been healing me fully every time I've used it. It looks like the upgrade also leads to higher potion capacity, so I do want to level these potions up. I can afford to get up to potion capacity 2 straight away, so we're doing that. So now they're crude healing potions, and I can carry 2 of them. That should make a huge difference for our longevity. Especially if I start finding some of the other capacity upgrades, I'll end up being able to carry 3 and 4 potions and be able to just heal tank my way through my problems. Which isn't the greatest way to handle things, but sometimes you just gotta do that. You don't have anything to say because you don't have a marker on the minimap. Which I appreciate them having the markers even for people that are indoors, so you don't have to go in every building to be like, do you have anything? No. Do you have anything? No. Are you worth anything? No. Off to the forest we go. Yeah, the all primary attack build seems to be pretty effective. And I don't know if that just speaks to the power of Lightning Sword, or if focusing actually made that big a difference. And you know, there's also the X factor of the artifacts and such we happened to get on that trip as well. Because we did get some pretty good artifacts. Because like, I was getting the sense that we were starting to snowball a little bit. I don't think we were snowballing hard yet, because obviously we got destroyed as soon as we got to the boss fight. Which brings up a point I'm thinking about. I think focusing on crowd control was not the way. I think, based on the fact that our primary problem is the bosses, focusing on single target is probably going to be the play for right now. So we can burn down the bosses quicker. And I was not intending to say burn down and then literally pick fire, but I feel like fire might be the one I'm gonna try again right now. Not necessarily and focus purely on fire, because a lot of the bonus effects around fire don't seem to be super enticing. Because like this one just has fire aura, and then you gain in mana, which is great that it's a mana generator. It's kind of funny that fire is the mana generator or element, considering, you know, fire usually is burning things, but I guess you burn things to generate energy, so it does make a degree of sense there. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go Flame Sword, grab Orb of Fire, and then grab Vortex Slash. Like, we are going to mostly be focusing in on fire, even though that wasn't my original intent, because both Vortex Slash and Fireball both have a chance to paralyze, which will be a nice, reasonably safe way to stop enemies from taking action. As opposed to lightning, which you would think would be the way to stop enemies, but getting electrocuted to trigger was starting to stop working because it needs repeated hits. And there's a chance where like things like Lightning Strike or Lightning Sphere would have been the better way to get electrocuted to go off. There's also the reality in which Lightning Frenzy would be your way to electrocute things, since it hits 4 times in rapid succession. But again, as we discussed before, this one keeps you in place. Or at least it felt like it did. So yeah, I think we're going this route at the moment. And at the very least, the straight damage of Fire Sword was good in the early game anyway. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. And bear in mind, even though I just listed off an entire plan, don't be surprised if based on artifacts or just I decide to change my mind, that the entire plan gets chucked out the window. Every time you level, you get 500 gold, you get crit chance and health, magic attack and experience. Magic attack and experience, yeah. Just let me snowball my power. Getting more experience means I can actually get that skill tree line going before things get too far. And two-shotting things instead of three-shotting them is huge. I need to spend another point, so... Do I want either of these? This one's not bad, but it's not, like, blowing my mind. So I think all I'm gonna do is just upgrade Sword of Fire so I can gain access up here. Next level, grab Over Fire. Do I want either of these? I would have to have them burning already and then throw Over Fire at them for that to matter. Which, Orb of Fire is probably my starting move most of the time. I'll be throwing that on my way in. Or as I can't get near that anymore, I'll just throw Fireball at it till it dies option, rather than focusing on synergizing it with my main attack. Which, don't get me wrong, synergizing it with the primary attack, probably the better play. But this is how I'm picturing using it. Will that be the actual use case for it? Only way to find out is to use it. Yeah, there's only so much future prediction you can do. Those are better for armor. And we only get 5% all resist from it right now, so I think the armor is just a better choice. I don't really know how much resistance comes into play with this game still. This would be great if I had any ice. Ooh. This is contrary to where we're going, but it's still 25% extra magic attack, and it does synergize with our elements thing. Which synergies are probably where we've been going wrong in terms of gaining power. Synergies are probably going to be much more important than I keep giving them credit for being. Because I've kind of been going on individual artifact merit rather than specifically focusing synergies. Even though the game highly encouraged focusing synergies. Not bad, but not enough for me to be buying it. I am gonna grab a key because I didn't have one. Apple pie is once again good enough for me. Get a load of that freak. Ooh. So you gain up to 100 extra health and an extra 100 mana. That's pretty tempting. But it's for every 15 enemies killed. So it's a long burn. But spend it or lose it. Successor. Memory. Corpse. Oh, you can buy back one of the skills from one of your corpses. And you can also reset. That's nice. I like that. I like that this guy exists. I don't like looking at him. He's a bit concerning. But I appreciate the fact you can buy... Wait. No, I never had Rain of Fire, though. So it's not necessarily buying back a skill you had before. Or did I get Rain of Fire in that early run and before I died? I don't think I ever did, though. I'm pretty sure I never bought Rain of Fire. Then again, I don't think I ever bought a tier 3 skill, so maybe that's why it just fills in. I don't know. Hard to say on that one, but it's too rich for my blood since I bought an artifact. But I appreciate that that feature's there. Like, this game is slowly drip feeding out its features, but it's got some very good features in it so far. Like, there's a lot of moving parts going on in here. And the fact that it refers to things like Spellblade and such, like, including our class listing up there, makes me wonder if there's gonna be other classes later. Like, maybe they're not implemented yet, but maybe they have intentions of implementing additional classes. We have 2 potions already, so I'm gonna take the higher for life. Because as soon as we gain a level, that's gonna be more life than the static life increase was gonna give us. The random ice shards are exactly why I grabbed that artifact. Okay, so I wanted Orb of Fire. That's exactly what it says on the tin. I don't care how big the room is. Fireball. Fireball. It is kind of expensive mana-wise, as you can see, though. I'll grab that dagger in a moment. I wanted him dead first. I do appreciate that it's a straight shot fireball instead of an arcing fireball. It'd be very problematic if it was an arc shot. As much as I have fun with arcing attacks. Getting the dot for Orb of Fire is probably a really good idea. The other option is I start grabbing even more moves instead. Because I, of course, need to spend more points to get further up. So it's either I upgrade Orb of Fire further, get different bonuses for Orb of Fire, get different abilities, or upgrade my sword more. Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. This isn't actually as good as I thought it was, because it's core skills only, which is these. These are basic, not core. That's why we weren't actually benefiting as much as I thought we should have from this one. Because we had no core skills. This was actually a complete wasted point last time. Well, son of a bitch. Today we learned I'm an idiot. Did we learn that today? No, I feel like we knew that for a while, didn't we? Anyway. Let's go ahead and get the increased mana regen since Fireball is expensive. At least relative to our current mana amount. What's in the box? Garbage! I feel like I should be saving those keys for later in the game, so that when I open those boxes I get more significant items, because right now the early boxes are just sadness. This would have been great in the last run. Increased your highest of dexterity, strength, and intelligence by 12. Each time you destroy a magic ranked artifact, increase whichever the highest stat is again by 3. A lot of boost highest stat things here. That would give me talent, but so would this. Gain attack speed when hitting enemies with your basic skills. So the fire sword would just go faster and faster. Or each artifact you destroy increases your physical and magical attack by 3%. We've not been destroying artifacts is the only reason I'm not going straight in for the wooden shield. I think I'm actually going to take the Blessed Rosary even though it's the lower rarity, because this will work for me more. We lose out on the static stat bonus, but the synergies I think will play better for us and how I've been playing. Those mercs don't even pay taxes. I mean, they ain't a part of the Empire or something like that. Or there's someone in the next squad thinking about switching over to the mercenaries. Damn, does he have any loyalty? He calls himself a child of Luan. Heard his wife gave birth to triplets not long ago. Maybe we should cut him some slack. Yeah, he's gonna have a lot more mouths to feed, so it seems only fair at that point. Go where the money is. Gotta support the family. Oh, looks like I got one of the charges of the fruit of growth there. I don't know how to feel about the fact that I hit that chest with the fireball, by the way. I did notice that, and I don't think I appreciated that, but it makes a degree of sense that it would be a physical object. I just don't have to be happy about it. I paused for a second there because of the guy that teleported. There he is. I thought he was going to jump me when I went for the mage. But I think he only has so far he can go when he does that. I think I'm going to skip amplification entirely. Is the only real advantage to fire amplification is the further increased mana, which takes 2 points to get to. And we're really only using our mana at the moment for fireball, which does cost a fair bit, as we discussed, but our basic attack is already generating extra mana. So I don't think that's that big a deal at the moment. What I'm going to do is instead buff our fireball a bit, so it's doing triple magic damage. Fireball! Because it's basically a one-hit kill right now against basic enemies. I thought that club was flying off the cliff. Much like I did trying to get it. Artifact or currency? Give me the artifact. Dexterity and crit chance. I mean, it's a stick of dynamite. This also works with burning and gives magic attack. So far, that's winning me over, like, immediately. Because I feel like we do want to synergize holy oil so we get burning effect increases since we're focusing on fire. And doubling our resource gain seems incredible. And a 40% chance to not consume resources when I throw fireball, also great. Like, everything about that seems fantastic. It just doesn't touch on our current synergies. This would be the one if I want to do current synergies. Which right now we don't need the talent increases. Is the level 4 one does nothing for us, is we don't have 50 of any stat. But that level 6 one would be incredible. Plus 10 to all skills. Yeah. But we'll go into that after we play around with the magic powder keg. So wait. Time out. Something doesn't make sense about the 10 into every skill. They only go up to 5. What the hell does 10 to every skill do if they cap out at 5? Or does that bypass the cap? Huh. You know, that only really clicked in my brain now. The one thing I'm upset about with Fireball, by the way, is you can't throw it in the air. I don't know if you've noticed that, but when I try to use it when I'm airborne, it just doesn't. The main problem with that tentacle attack is the fact that it comes out so quickly. The first one is pretty likely to catch you, just because you'll be in the middle of an animation you can't get out of. Speaking of being in an animation and not being able to get out of it, I tried to jump, but it wouldn't let me because I was still attacking. Which is my own fault, don't get me wrong. The game is not at fault for me jumping, or in this case, not jumping. Okay, that was a bad call on my part. Got him. That went pretty well. Our straight damage was a lot more efficient, I think. Oh, and we got a second rune, even though we beat the same boss. Wow. Well, I guess I'm taking Leap Slash, since we just got a legendary sword that works with Leap Slash. 100% chance to summon a phoenix that deals 155% magical attack damage. And that's just a really good sword. Extra projectile damage to make my fireball better. Presuming that projectile damage affects fireball, since it doesn't say it on it. Either way, that sword's too cool. I can't not use that sword. It's so cool. And I guess it really isn't very cool at all since it's a fire sword, but shh, it's okay. It's special cold fire. Well, this camp's apparently really fucking boring right now. Oh, there we go, there's the people. I was like, is there just nobody here? Morgul seems to have forgotten human language, and everything she says is fragmented. Still, if you pay attention and listen carefully, you might be able to make out what she's saying, though it won't be easy. Noted that Morgul is a she. Strength? No, thank you. Not something I need. We'll take another key, though. And fruit pie. What do you got today, Brookon? That would get me level 2 luck, which is great. And it gets me level 2 holy oil. This would give me holy oil and give me straight fire damage increase and magic attack increase. I would buy both if I could, because the resource gen on luck would be really good. Though this would also get me level 3 elements, so no, this is the better call, because every 3 hits of my basic would do boosted damage, and we use the basic a lot. So we will be purchasing this. Oblivion instantly. Okay, good. I don't need Sword of Frost, and I don't really want Lightning Rush in this setup. Thank you, though. Goodbye. For those wondering, I'm probably just going to keep going till I get tired as per usual. I don't really have a goal in mind today. Since this was mostly just a, oh hey, I don't have a collab this week for this day, so I'm just going to do this type of deal. And you know, real jazzed about this game once I realized it was coming out today, so. But I guess I'm grabbing Leap Slash. Oh. Wow, that doesn't leap as far as I thought it did, so you know, this really isn't... I really should have tried this move earlier. Because that actually seems really useful. Also, I need to go back and kill him. I can't leave any enemies alive, or it won't let me leave. Oh, that also spawned the other enemies, so I needed to do that in multiple regards. Apparently, I just haven't been using the good fire skill, because Leap Slash does seem better. Like, Fireball is very good, but Leap Slash, since it's quicker to use, is easier to mix into my attack set for the way I fight so far. Though, of course, I might be getting an inflated sense of how the attack is because of the Phoenix bonus we're getting. Just straight up 10% basic attack damage, 1 skill point, mastery skill damage. I really want the basic skill damage because I use my basic a lot, but skill points. Skill points will unlock us more things, and more things mean well, more things. Is like, notice the mastery skills don't have a resource cost. So what it's probably going to turn into is I whip through my core skills and then the mastery skill comes out. I go back to basics until I get enough resources and then I loop it again. This would also be super potent. Because every time I hit them with mastery skills, it reduces the cooldown. This only has an 8-second cooldown. So, depending on how many times this hits... Again, assuming... Wait, no. Each time... Yeah, wait a minute. Each time burning hits an active enemy with mastery skills. So, is that the burning takes from a mastery skill? Or is that a mastery skill hitting an enemy that's burning that makes that happen? I assume since it gets reduced further by a critical hit, it must be you hitting something that's burning. And the phraseology is just all over the place for it. So depending on how many times Vortex Slash hits, you could end up cutting that cooldown probably like in half. Ooh. I want all of these things, so just give me that and we'll figure out the rest of it in a bit. Like, obviously, it seems like mastery and ultimate skills are meant to be your big moves, so it makes perfect sense that they'd be getting some of the best bonuses in terms of them standing out. Okay, it only hits like 3 times, though. It's not as ridiculous as I had hoped. But it's still pretty good, and giving it a chance to paralyze is going to be very potent. And honestly, a 7 or 8 second cooldown really isn't bad for the output that has. Fruit of Growth effects are nested, so that's the 3rd time we've gotten a bonus from that, so that's 30 extra health it's given us so far. I'm tracking that one just so I can tell how valuable that that artifact bonus actually is. Okay, you can't re-paralyze things. I saw that a paralysis immunity pop up. So that's worth keeping in mind, that you can't just chain paralyze something. Which is a good idea, all things considered, because if you could do that, paralysis would be busted. As it stands, being able to stop your enemies completely, even temporarily, is pretty strong. In a game like this, where everything's constantly moving. Get another level. Even still, though, if every enemy can be paralyzed, which so far it seems like they can, you can manage to keep the crowd under control pretty well. That one doesn't help me. Neither does that one. Or that one. But this one is good because it makes our Vortex Slash stronger. And if we can even get the first level of Nirvana, it'll be good for us. Because I consistently have a bunch of resources laying around because I forget to hit all of my buttons. I'm just not in the habit of hitting my entire array of buttons. Ironically enough, if I was playing this on keyboard, I'd probably be better about hitting the other buttons. Because it's a habit thing to a certain degree. Summon a swirling firestorm to chase enemies for 7 seconds. Deal 40% damage as fire on hit. If it hits a burning enemy, deal extra damage. You can weaken vulnerable enemies with it. When firestorm hits, there's a 10% chance to spawn another one. Well then. Well then. I'm sold by the expanding firestorm. That just seems great. 49-second cooldown, though. It's a little brutal, but sounds like it's a really potent skill. But do I grab that before grabbing these other bonuses? Is like, this seems really good, getting the 3 seconds of fast 3-hit attacks with my fire slash. There's also the whole thing where I should be grabbing some of these as well, but empowering leap slash now when I'm using vortex slash more is a back and forth in my head. And I know I'm agonizing over these decisions longer than I should, so we're just gonna grab Firestorm. When in doubt, give me another button not to push. But having options for ranged attacks against this boss is probably going to be important, because he seems to be really nasty to be close to. Firestorm. Oh! You know, it said it chases enemies, and it promptly went the opposite direction of where the enemy was, even though I was facing the enemy. So I have some concerns about the accuracy of the whole Firestorm chasing thing. There we go, there's the vulnerable on him. Using my skills does allow me to be a lot more mobile, which seems important against this fight. Which is why I was investing in skills at all. That was almost bad. If another one of those blades had hit me quickly, I would have been hosed. And there we go. That went a lot easier. When you bring the things appropriate for the opponent, things go a lot better. What do you know? Crazy concept there, huh? Pendant of Vital Bliss. When leveling up, life is restored by 22%, and resources, I think it said by 100? Yeah, resources restored by 100%. 7 intelligence, 5% attack speed, dodge chance. That's all really good. We lose... I don't know, we gain 1 intelligence. We just lose the physical damage bonus, which that's absolutely fine, because this gives 2 physical attack. So it mostly balances out, probably. I am entertained by the fire tornadoes, but I'm not 100% sold on them as an actually effective move yet. But hey, we made it to the monastery. The fallen abbot Vargas gathered the monks together and sacrificed them to demons. Defeat this now devoted follower of Gurnia and honor the souls of the sacrificed monks. The skills of Berserker become stronger with higher physical attacks. So there are other classes in the game then, because that was the same color text that was used for Spellblade before. And that's talking about being better with physical attacks. So there must be a class system you unlock. But I don't know if you have to, like, win in order to get the other class, or what is required there. But that definitely helps keep the longevity of the game going for me, at the very least. Because that means you can actually experience different starts and probably different skill sets, too. Joanne, yeah, he's quite the character. I feel like you're saying the wrong words there. He's young, enthusiastic, curious, always wanting to learn something. I think somebody rang that bell on your head too much, sicko. When he first joined us, he was a bit reluctant, to be honest. Because when you look at the members of our order, it's not typical. We've got a Dracan who retired from combat due to injury, a giant who can barely speak, and a weird shaman who sews things out of cloth. Well, sewing things out of cloth doesn't seem that weird. That's what cloth is usually used for. Dawn came to the top because he trusted Logan, not because she trusted me. But Logan highly recommended her to me. Not that I needed anyone to nag me, but I owed him a favor. I took it as a way of returning the favor. I continue to think that this is translated and not always the best. basic skills increase armor. That does seem like a winner, and max life increasing when you eat food or life potions does also seem good. But I can get that from this too. No, this is probably still the better choice though. What skills are you selling? Now I have to talk to you first. Shaken my place, rune cage. You're selling a level of Firestorm. But unfortunately, it's a 1 out of 1, so what would happen if I bought this? I feel like this is a waste, right? Am I crazy? You know, this is all of my gold, but I'm curious. If I buy that, okay, you can go above your maximum. We now have level 2 of a 1 level skill, okay. And it does do more damage now, because it was 40% of magic damage as fire before, and now it's 50%. Lesson learned. You can bypass the maximum. Are you the successor? Are you on your way to the monastery? My name is Sister Rosa. I used to live with the monks of Lu in the monastery. The monastery is corrupted, as is everywhere around here. The difference, I suppose, is that we've been invaded. Vargas, who's up in the tower right now, was once a monk in this monastery. His job was to welcome and manage all newcomers. The abbot trusted him with the job, but didn't know his true nature. Under the guise of purification, Vargas would summon anyone late at night to torture them as he desired. His grisly deeds went unrevealed for a long time as the newcomers failed to report them. Eventually, he was discovered by the abbot and was immediately expelled. That was several years ago. Not long after the rift opened, Vargas stormed in with his demons, while most of the monks of the monastery were out seeking reinforcements. Those who remained were unable to resist, and he brutally tortured and killed all but those that were willing to surrender to him. He then named himself abbot. What good is being abbot after he's killed everyone? I suppose he simply coveted the title, which is now empty and meaningless. I survived it all as I was bringing groceries back from town and found myself with the Black Falcon mercenaries. I believe that my survival is the will of Lu, and I meant to make public his evil deeds and bear witness to his downfall. Please kill Abbot Vargas and save those who have fallen to his evil. Roger that. Kill man. Got this. It's what I'm good at. Yep, we got goatmen now. Okay. Oh boy. There's those fire skulls coming from a regular enemy now. Okay. Thankfully, fighting fire with fire is more effective than one might think. I do really like the designs in this game, though. As much as some of them really are concerning to look at, that means they did their job well for making monsters and demons. If you look at them and are like, ooh, it's a little spooky, a little weird. Like this guy full of spikes over here. Little upsetting. The bonus where I get multiple fire tornadoes, but for some reason I'm summoning multiples sometimes. And I'm not really going to question it, but I would like to know how to harness that, so I'm interested to know why that's happening. Might be a synergy effect, might be something about the skill that I didn't pay attention to. Hard to say, really. Another healing potion, huh? Well, I may as well drink one and grab one then. And now we got the satiation bonus as well, so it works out. That's not a bad ring. Not one that I need, but it's not a bad ring. Yeah, because the bonus firestorm is over here. Yeah, and it doesn't say anything on it that it would do that. So let's take a look through our synergies for a second. That one doesn't do it. That one doesn't do it. No. 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 None of our synergies do that either. Is it one of the artifacts itself doing it? No. Unless I'm overlooking something. So I don't know where all those fire tornadoes are coming from. I'm fine with them happening, but I don't know why they're happening. Let's go ahead and... Oh, right, because you only can grab one or the other. With how I'm using Vortex Slash, though, this is the better choice. Because I'm kind of using it as a pass-through move. Like, I hit them and move, rather than hitting them and then focusing on swinging in. So, with the way I move through, I'm gonna end up wasting most of those 3 seconds of multi-hit. These fire tornadoes are great. The fact that I'm getting multiple is what's making them great, though. So if that's a bug, that's unfortunate. It'd be pretty great having the thunderbolts from punishment. Magic Fusion won't help us because everything I have is fire. Increasing cold damage doesn't help me. Like, both of these have the same problem. They raise my magic attack, which is great, but they raise an elemental damage that I'm not using. But I don't need this one. So I think I'm gonna take this one because we already have an artifact that throws those ice spikes, so at least that'll benefit from the cold damage. And we get the winter bonus, which currently does not help too much, but again, it helps the ice spikes. So it at least synergizes with something we're already doing, instead of me starting to spread in another direction. Then we'll grab this one so I can grab Burning Soul, so we can spin to win harder. These tornadoes, man, they're just so silly. Ow. Do not burn the flame-throwing man. That's rude. That's my bit. I would appreciate you not stepping on my bit. If he wasn't paralyzed, that whole situation was gonna be really bad. These chests really are still very hit or miss. I feel like for them needing a key, those chests are pretty sad. Like, maybe I'm just being really unlucky today, which is always a possibility. Don't get me wrong. But I think we've seen like one particularly good thing come out of one of those chests, and that was when it gave me a healing potion that I needed. So I can't even say that it's like, oh yeah, that's a great reward out of a locked chest. But again, it's better than nothing. So I'm not complaining. That is not better quite yet. 4 extra magic damage is good, but 7% is arguable, and the Phoenix is an important part of how we're using Leap Slash right now. Not that we're using Leap Slash as much now that we got the spin, but you get the idea. Okay, so we gotta make sure to burn enemies and then hit them with the Vortex Slash and see how well the cooldown reduces. It didn't seem to really reduce at all, so maybe I'm still not understanding what that meant. I may have made an assumption that was inaccurate. Attack speed up. You take less damage when at low health. That's pretty good. Basic skills have a 50-50 chance to jolt the target. If I'd known I was gonna get this, I would have taken the other, I would have taken the lightning one. Momentum's pretty good, too. This is nice, but irrelevant for us right now. Sturdy 3 doesn't do anything for me, otherwise I'd be a lot more committed to this one. Sturdy 4, though, would be really nice. Whenever you take damage, you heal 10 per second for 5 seconds, so you get basically 50 health back on a 20-second cooldown. It's not a huge amount with the health we have now, but it's pretty good, and I do enjoy attack speed, so I think... Oh, I'm out of room for artifacts now, though. This one does not give us any good synergies, and the increased mastery skill is nice, but I feel like what we're getting from this will be better for us. So let's go ahead and get rid of the soul staff. We can go ahead and destroy that. This is where the thing that was going to give us stats for destroying artifacts was really going to come into play, but I didn't anticipate living this long. Which is why I wasn't playing for this stage of the game. I was playing for the stage of the game I was at. Because trying to play too far ahead can lead to you dying before you get there. But it can also lead to you dying once you do get there if you don't play ahead of, at least partially. Hi, old man. You got really big. Welcome. How do you like my monastery? It's a rare sight here in Luan, isn't it? Full of blood and penance. All made possible thanks to the power of Gurnarian and myself. I'm not like other demons. I've heard the voice of Gurnarian, the pinnacle of evil, the great demon of the rift. A dragon of destruction that hates all the gods of the world and their followers. Gurnarian has chosen me for a special task. No one understood my acts of purification. To purify is to renounce thyself and trust in the gods. What kind of monk is unable to abandon all that he is? That's why I was chosen, to increase Gurnarian's believers and watch them thrive. Now, stranger, you're not a follower of Lu. You cannot deceive me. Join me in worship, Gurnarian, who will return again to this world. Or we can use your blood to set an example for non-believers. Behold the power of Gurnarian, and see evil bloom and prosper. Oh, look at you with your flying throne. That's upsetting with all my ground-based attacks. Oh good, you do touch the ground. Great news for me, really bad news for you. Ow, your fireball hurts a lot. Ow. Where do I learn to make fireballs like those? Sir, maybe I should reconsider. I feel kind of inclined to join you right now because you're doing a better job with the fire spells than I do, and I wish to learn. Could we negotiate, please? If you believe that, I've got a bridge to sell you, but you know, maybe you like bridges. How do you feel about a man named Jeff? And I'm dead. I shouldn't have greeted that. I should have drank a potion before attacking, but I thought I could dive through his fire before it came up. I got greedy. Oh well. That was a much better life than we've had so far, though. Like, that is definitely best run so far. Let's see what it unlocks for us. Yep, old man's got something to say. All sales are final once you've opened something, customer. Great, that was very helpful. You still have a thing over your head. Unless, is there somebody behind you? No? I feel like he's just lying to me. I don't want that. That'll do. I still didn't get your hammer because we didn't succeed in the Abbey. What's up, Jay? How you doing? Oh yeah, and it's a good one so far. I've been really digging it. There's hints of another class in this game as well, but so far all we have is Spellblade. It's more light, but either one works, really. As you can see, it's got a pretty hefty equipment system. The equipment's retained between runs, which is interesting. And there's a whole skill tree and everything, but the skill tree's per run only. That's this whole bit over here. All of this is lost when you die, but it's pretty good so far. The skills up here are actually worth the points it takes to get up to them so far. You get a bunch of artifacts you can use mid-run as well, same with a bunch of soul gems. It's a lot. Like, this is a lot, and I'm loving that about it. There's also... wrong button. There's also these runes I've been getting, but I haven't been able to use them so far, so I'm not entirely sure what they do yet. Like, there's definitely some depth here. And this literally came out today, so I don't know how far it's going to go yet. But there's a good amount of ground to cover as well. Lots of NPCs that sell you a variety of things. You can upgrade your healing potions with this guy, so you can carry more of them and they do better. It's just so much. Like, I definitely see myself losing a lot of time to this game. And it's not even an expensive one either. I think it was like $17? The only thing I'll say is some of the dialogue and some of the descriptions are a little iffy at the moment, because I think they were translated in a less than ideal manner. Like, some skill descriptions just don't make sense necessarily. Like, I can point one out specifically. It's, this one. This is phrased in a really strange way. It either means that the damage over time from burning affects an enemy, but that means the burning would have to originate from a mastery skill, which is only these skills over here. Like, this is just kind of a word salad description. I feel like this could be phrased in a much more coherent way. It's not the worst example, but it's the one that was most relevant recently. Because I used it the way I thought it worked, and it didn't work at all. Yeah, in terms of the actual main gameplay, you only have, like, this basic attack, and even that doesn't change much once you change the element on it with your first skills. But it moves well, your dodge is effective, you start with a native double jump. More or less, if you apply the later Diablo format to a side-scroller, that's basically this game. With all of the blessings and curses that comes with. So we went all in on fire last time, and that was working pretty well. I'm gonna give ice a second chance, but we're actually gonna commit to it this time instead of mixing elements. Let's see, now my main attack, for example, is blue and throws ice shards, and it will slow enemies down when I hit them occasionally. The important part about it is it does significantly more damage because the Spellblade, which is your starting class, primarily has intelligence, so your magic attack is your focus, for the most part. Advanced artifact, please. Because this is another important thing. Every artifact has one or two of these synergy points on them as well. And if you build those up, you get those effects. And they are ridiculous. It's a very visually nice game. It's dark and gritty, but it's really well made. And I just need to quickly get rid of that timer event, because today is one of the few not collabs recently, so let me just turn that off. Just ignore that that happened. But this book's pretty good. What are the... Movement speed up. When you take damage, you can potentially increase your max life temporarily and gain life regen. Okay, okay. That gets satiation and flourish. Generate more resources on a basic hit. That one's tempting, but I'm gonna take the Ivory of Greed, because I'm very curious about how that life regen's actually gonna work out. We already gained another level that I should spend the point from. I'm not worried about critical hits right now. Let's just go ahead and take Mana Charge, because once I started actually using the skills, I was running out of mana constantly. So Mana Charging does seem more important. Because it runs on the usual system of your basic attack charges mana and everything else as far as your main skills uses it. But the last two sets of skills you get, the Mastery and Ultimate skills, are just cooldown based. They don't take any resources to use. And that basically encapsulates 90% of what I know about this game from the past nearly 3 hours into like a 5-minute diatribe about it. You now know just about as much as I do. Oh yeah, and these chests need keys, which you can find randomly, or you can buy them from one of the NPCs. That's about the only other thing that was missing. Like, the advanced currency here, for example, could potentially give you a key. It's never given me a key any of the times I've tried, but it might. Soul gems are similar to artifacts, but don't have synergies. They just make you better. I could grab Mastery skill damage early, but I feel like that's a bad decision. I'm just gonna take the max health. His dexterity is kind of useless to me because we still don't have a means of doing projectile damage that I've seen. Is the projectile skills don't seem like they're affected by that. Yeah, she's the one who sells keys, which uses your meta currency, so you do need to bear that in mind. There's not like a strict meta progression in that you upgrade yourself necessarily, aside from upgrading your potions so far that I've seen as far as your meta currency usage goes. These food items only affect you for a couple rooms. This meat pie's pretty good, so we'll take that. This guy sells more artifacts. And this one's interesting, because this sells skills. Arrow, memory, the connection. Like, I could buy Fire Amplification, or Blizzard, or Sword of Lightning. Even if I don't have the requirements for Blizzard, which is an ultimate skill, I could just buy it right now, if I had the money on me. And you can even upgrade a skill past its cap by buying this skill point. We had our ultimate skill at level 2 when it's ordinarily capped at 1 level in our last run. Trying to voice act all of these different characters is also starting to destroy my throat a little bit. So if I cut vocally out occasionally, don't be surprised. I'm drying out a little bit, even though I'm drinking water. It's not keeping up with the usage right now. This is also hot, so bleh. But it'll be fine. This tree wanted us to go kill the other evil tree. And provides us stuff as we go by. I'm gonna take the potion carrying capacity. Without any upgrades, meta or otherwise, you can only carry 1 potion at a time. We upgraded enough that we can have 2, and now I can have 3 thanks to that item. And without being able to carry more potions, you have no other real way of healing, aside from what an artifact might do for you, like the life regen one we picked up recently, which I've not seen very many of those, so you kind of got to be careful in that regard. And drinking a potion does take a second, so it's not a freebie. The Frost Slash I remember being pretty good. I'm going to try Frost Arrow. This is the only one we haven't really used yet. Okay, so it's basically just Ice Fireball. That's not really a shock. Yeah, exactly. It's a good system for the way this game is. It's well designed for the most part. It's all pretty balanced. which for a game that is in early access, pretty high mark right there. The fact that it all fits together well, and I've only had a couple slight bugs. Like, one item dropped multiple times when I dropped it out of my inventory, but then when I picked them back up, they went back to being one item. And we've had a couple visual glitches. That's been about it. Since we're not going into fire, we don't need the Phoenix Sword anymore. And every boss drops a legendary, so legendaries aren't like, oh my god, you have to hang on to these. And it's not like it disappears when I put it down there. It just means we're storing it till we use Leap Slash again. I could grab Frost Slash as well, but I feel like I don't want to have both of those necessarily yet. Like, we only ended up going into Orb of Fire and Leap Slash because we got the Phoenix Sword after picking up Orb of Fire, so we expanded into the other one. Oh, you can gain extra charges of Frost Arrow by critical hits. Okay. That's neat, actually. We'll grab that. The odds of it happening right now aren't very good, but later on that might become huge. Throwing Frost Arrow at point blank range just made it look like I punched him in the dick there, and honestly, he deserved it. Punch him right in his demon nuts. Do we even have any artifacts yet? We have one. So trying to go for synergies wouldn't be a bad idea. We don't have any of that one, we don't have that one, and we don't have that one, so that's unfortunate. We're not using that much of our resources, so the boosted physical attack is on the table, but physical attack doesn't benefit us that much, as far as I've been able to tell. We're not doing damage over time, so this one doesn't help. Otherwise, I would be all about this to get the Frost Arrow charges. I think I'm gonna take this one. Just because more gold, more better. Come along, Goose. Spellblade's resources, mana. Okay, so the other classes will use other resources, much like what I was comparing it to before. We just need, again, to get another class to learn about any of that. And I still don't know what the requirements for gaining the other class or classes is. We've seen mention of a Berserker in the on-screen tips. Again, presuming that the Berserker's even implemented yet. It might have tips, but not actually be fully in-game yet. No real way to guarantee that short of research that may or may not even be available yet, considering the game has only been out for not even a day yet. Yes, it is early access. Literally came into early access today. Which is why I was pointing out the amount of content it has being a big thing. Yeah, exactly. There's a chance it's missing, and it might not. I don't know. I don't... Part of me wants to grab cold amplification to spread chill more. But then it's another button I need to manage on top of having active skills, but I do only have the one active skill at the moment. So it's not a problem? But I feel like I want to save space for Glacial Cut and Glacial Split and Blizzard. And I've only got 4 buttons? Yeah. Left, right, right bumper, left, right, trigger. Unless I replace either my dodge or my basic attack with something, which would be a terrible idea, probably. Because dodging's been very important in this game to not die. So I think I'm just going to keep focusing on my arrows at the moment. Unless I want to do something with my sword, but sword's doing fine as it is. I don't need to fiddle. Yeah, let's get a chance to daze them so they get an increased chance to get critically hit, which will then work into getting more charges of ice arrows. the helmet. The one downside, somewhat, to this game is you can't leave a stage without killing every enemy. So if you miss an enemy, you might have to backtrack for them. But that kind of takes away the cheese strat some people could use in a game like this of just running through the area if you're strong enough already. You could just skip out of an area entirely. Like, I tried to run away from an area when I was almost dead to try to get to a heal spot, and I couldn't because you have to finish every enemy that's in there. Which, you know, blessing and curse on that one. It takes away some of the player's agency, but also takes away some of the cheese that can be done and makes you have to work a bit harder. And I will say, so far my experience with the bosses is they are really, really strong. Like, an argument could be made for them hitting, in some cases, a little too hard. But again, very early access, so that will be adjusted over time, for sure. At least break that one since it's nearby, because that's going to spawn enemies. And our... Ow, ow. And our damage output against anything right now isn't the best, because these ice attacks aren't the most powerful moves on their own. We need some of the other ice moves, I think, to start really making this come together. There's also a bit of hit stun on some of the attacks, which can be unfortunate. Like, that skull move really can screw you on hit stuns pretty badly. Which I think for that attack, it's by design, so it's not really an issue, but it's something to be mindful of. Got really lucky on where those came up that time. I thought those were targeted. Turns out I might have just been incredibly unlucky fairly consistently before. There we go. We had a lot of trouble at first with that boss fight, but the more you do it, the easier these get. And we got Manaxon's Battle Helm this time. When you take damage, you gain 13% damage reduction for 5 seconds. My brain read the 5 seconds and the 13 and tried to make it 15. Extra fire damage and extra lightning damage. That's great when I'm using ice. Thanks, game. But I'll take it anyway for the damage reduction and the armor. It's still better than the helmet we were wearing. And who doesn't want to run around with a giant face made out of gold instead of your face? Totally not gonna have any consequences from that or anything. Once unlocked, runes are permanent. I assume I have to get the hammer for the guy who was talking about latent abilities and everything before I can use those runes. He seems like the likely candidate to be using those. Cold resist, cold damage, physical damage. I could definitely see a situation where I start carrying, like, multiple sets of gear on me. One for fire, one for ice, and one for lightning. Depending on which set I'm using at a time. Since there's a lot of really good items for each elemental type, to a degree. This ring seems like a winner. Just in general. Problem is I lose 8% magic damage. It'll probably be better right now since we're focusing on cold, but as soon as we're not focusing on cold anymore, it's gonna stop working. I don't think it's worth the price. John, she made me regret my keen eye for detail. Energetic and curious, she's quickly become the center of attention upstairs. Her parents assured Logan that she'd be a good sport about it, but she does more to help us out than anything else. She's a better help than that stupid giant while I'm cooking. Sure, sometimes he gets a little too far ahead of himself and puts himself in danger, but out of nowhere, Dubain comes along and saves the day. Does he ever stop being a mercenary? He stays by Joan's side all day. Okay, so it's Dubane that's the one that's after Joan. Okay. Her parents were talking about somebody that really had the hots for Joan, and, well, that solves that mystery. And honestly, as long as he's keeping her safe, I feel like that's not really our problem to step into. That's pretty good. Extra resources and less resource consumption. Stop me from running out of magic all the time. But let's see what skills are on the table over here first. Whip, Bane, Fugitive. Okay. So I'm glad I saved my money, because hello, Blizzard. For those wondering, we're down here. We're not even at cold amplification yet. Blizzard is all the way up here. We now have access to a skill we really shouldn't have yet, but we were able to buy it, and it allows us to use it. That's the fun of buying things in a video game. Now, I've not used Blizzard yet, so let's find out how good this is. Wow, that covers a lot of the screen. Okay. I can dig that. Doesn't seem like the most impressive thing right now, but against a boss that takes up a decent amount of the screen, it's probably going to be really good. Especially against something like the spider that's the boss of this area, who doesn't move that much, aside from moving in bursts. And that health regen from the Ivy, coming in clutch. Oh god, speaking of clutch, put me down. I do not wish to be clutched. Especially not by you. Here, you want to hold something? Hold an icicle. Just keep him frozen, and then we don't have problems. Okay. You're a fire guy, so I gotta be careful about that. And this is the power of ice, though, is just keeping enemies frozen. Because apparently they don't get freeze immunity like they get paralysis immunity. So that's interesting. You would think they would be gaining immunity to both when they come out of it. And the best part about freeze is it seems to last longer than paralysis, but you have the risk of, if you use something that isn't ice on a frozen opponent, they can unfreeze. Kind of like a Pokemon game in that way, which is a funny thing to think about. Ice Arrow, I choose you. Are these boots any good? Because my boots have been consistently kind of terrible. I mean, it's just slightly better, so sure, I guess I'll put those boots on. Boots and gloves have been the things I've been seeing, like, the least of in this game. Well, actually, boots, gloves, and chest armor. We found one legendary chest armor at the beginning. I think that was the legendary we got for the first time we beat the tree boss. And we've seen, like, 2 other chest pieces since then. And soul gem sounds good. Mastery skill damage. Skill points by 2. All resistances by 10%. Skill points, please. Now we can just advance immediately. Which means we could actually grab both of these if I want to. Because they're both cooldown moves, so having both of them will be fine. That means we're not burning magic all the time. Sure. I am going to rearrange my keybinds a little bit, though, because I want Blizzard to be the last thing I can use. There we go. Blizzard has the longest cooldown, so I want them to be basically in cooldown order. Which they are now, because these both have the same. So this is a slam that hits enemies in front of me, and this is a wild swing that will also hit things in front of me. Okay. We may as well test these so I see how they swing. That's my Ice Bolt. Ice Axe. Ice spin. Okay. Thank you for telling me the obvious, video game. Congratulations. Okay, so those don't do huge damage either, but they seem pretty decent. They're not slow enough to be a huge problem as far as them not doing crazy damage. And much like we were doing with the fire skills, it allows me to hit and move instead of being kind of stuck like our basic attack can sometimes have happen. Yep, this is still the key chest that we don't have a key for. This is blinking like I can grab this. Does that mean I'll get level 2 Blizzard even though I shouldn't have it? Yes, okay. So basically, the skill points you purchase don't seem to count toward the cap whether you get it before or after. So that's actually very interesting. I thought you'd only be able to bypass the cap if you did it in the correct order. Turns out, no, order doesn't matter for that. I didn't really want to spend that point on Blizzard, but I needed to know. I needed the answer there. Just don't get me wrong, Blizzard is nice, but I would have rather put it in a passive that would make all of my skills potentially better. But curiosity got the better of me immediately there. He's just getting debuffed to hell and just not allowed to function. It's kind of funny how, in terms of straight damage, I think our first skill is actually still our strongest. The ice arrow, that is. I think that might still be doing the most damage out of all of them. Which I say it's funny because of the fact that that's the one we can spam as long as we have the MP to spam it. Another advanced soul gem. I was kind of hoping we'd get another 2 skill point one. 20 more mana. 20% core skill damage would help my 2 main attacks I've gained, my right bumper and my left trigger one specifically, because actually no, isn't the ice arrow core skill? I might be remembering. Yeah, these are mastery skills, so actually this would make ice arrow even better. That's not a bad thing then. So we'll go ahead and take that. Ice arrow is the one that does the most damage already, but that's fine. I need something to do damage. It's spider time again. I only have 1 potion, so this could go bad. No matter how many times you try to crawl away, buddy, it never works out for you. But yeah, you'll notice since he's somewhat stationary, Blizzard does a lot to him, but he also hits like a damn Mack truck. And I'm still not very good at dodging his, like, slams and such. So we are probably losing this fight. Not any fault of the ice moves, particularly, other than they just don't do enough damage to power through him before he can kill me. By virtue of me not being good enough at dodging. And bosses are unfreezable, so ice is not resoundingly effective against bosses. Because I keep counting wrong as to how many he throws, in case people are wondering why I get caught by that slam, like, every time. I'm always off by, like, 1, and then I get my head caved in. Okay, so we went all in on fire skills. We've now gone all in on ice skills. Let's actually use the full set of lightning skills this time. which means I probably want to... no, there's nothing actually I want to switch for because I didn't buy the lightning damage thing I was thinking about buying. Let's gamble a little bit too because it's fun. We haven't replaced our belt literally since the beginning, so let's try getting a new belt. And let's try getting a new weapon too. Okay, we got a rare weapon. Okay. Papa needs a new pair of shoes. Damn it. 5 more armor, but I lose 5 strength. I'm not about that too much. This is not actually a good trade either because the mercenary mace has just too high a starting base attack by comparison. There we go, 7 intelligence on the boots. The boots were actually the one good one out of that set. Okay, never mind. I'm just gonna shut up because apparently I don't know what I'm talking about. Nope, that's not better than the thing I have. Level 4 dagger. So if I wanted to just go pure speed, that would be the play. That's not bad either. It's not as good as the mace in terms of pure damage, but it's faster and only loses 2 attack. I don't know. I don't actually know if the small amount of weapon speed really makes a difference. There is the only question mark. Oh yeah, I wanted to sell my excess crap to him as well. Which is basically everything other than the legendary sword. The legendary sword's staying because it's legendary for now. Got anything cool? No, I'm not even gonna read that. That's all blue and gray garbage. I don't even care. Let's upgrade our potion another stage. I could actually upgrade it again and start with potion capacity 3. And that would be half of the available potion levels already. So that's kind of crazy, but I think 1 is fine because I want to keep some gems on hand to purchase other things that come up. I don't really want to just like juice my potions straight away, because I feel like that'll make me lazy. Because I'm already dodging less than I should half the time. So I feel like if I make my potions even better, I'm just going to get even more irresponsible with how I fight. Because that is a thing that can happen, is the safer you get in terms of your bonuses and such, the less likely you are to put in real effort into surviving. Because you have such a safety net. It's like, oh yeah, if I take a hit, I can just heal, it's fine. And then you start taking too many extra hits, and it stops working. Yeah, as I said, we're gonna go all in on lightning this time. And then we'll go back to mixing them up if this doesn't prove out to be significantly better. It's like, there are setups for mixing, and there's setups for sticking to specific elements, so I feel like both are equally valid in this game. And my lightning choice might have been immediately rewarded. Ooh, but... random goodies, though. Random goodies. They know how to twist my arm. Wow, where was this last run? Whenever you deal magic damage to a burning enemy, they have a 30% chance to explode, dealing 100 of your magic attack as fire to nearby enemies. Exploding enemies, man! Exploding enemies! But I have no way to burn things if I'm not going into any fire skills. So I can't in good conscience reliably take that. This is 15% more damage and a 15% increased critical hit chance because I'll be jolting things all the time, so it's basically a consistent 15% increase. Or 10% of both attack types, and every 3 stages I get a fun extra item. Problem with that idea. I wish I could look at the map. where we've only been surviving at most, I think, not even 9 stages, so we'd probably only get 2 artifacts out of it. And the other issue with getting random artifacts is we can only fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 artifacts. If we have more than that, we start having to replace them. The good news about random artifacts would be A, I can replace junk ones I pick up just because I want to fill a slot, and B, I start making more money because I can dismantle the artifact for money. But I think I'm gonna go with the Jolt just because it's at least a safe, guaranteed result. As much as I would love the random bonus items, if it was less than 3 stages per bonus item, I would be a lot more inclined to use it. Like if it was like a 25% chance per stage chest or something, that would be immediately compelling to me. But that would also be a lot more powerful. Go ahead and daze things to get further increased crit chance. Because I'm also going to try to leverage crits more this time, since lightning seems to really go in on critical hits. I was kind of ignoring that feature of it when I was using Lightning Sword before, which was probably part of our mistake. Because I was using standard elemental logic thinking, oh yeah, lightning's paralysis. Paralysis stops things. No, fire has paralysis in this game for some reason, which I guess you're gonna be really hard pressed to do anything when you're trying to put out a fire on yourself. So there's that. Though as an element, lightning does frequently have critical hit bonuses and such in a lot of games too, so it still fits. It just wasn't my immediate assumption with it. All resistances again, max life. I really should start remembering what these colors do, so I stop having to look at them every time. Like, I know the orange one's good, because the orange one's the skill point one. That's officially my favorite one, because I like skill points. Give me more skill points. All the skill points. Give me skill points to make up for my skill. 10 intelligence on a belt? Okay. As opposed to the 5 strength on the one I'm using? Yes, please. Give. Cheerio, give. That's a massive improvement. John sells a variety of goods, from sundries to trinkets, and the quality is quite good. The daughter of one of Cliffshire's most prominent merchants, she's got a good eye for selection. I feel like... never mind. Why don't you give her a try? If you buy everything she sells, I might give you a break on the food. That's when I'm in the mood. Sicko, you really are a sicko, you know that? Anyway, taking this, I'm leaving. I can't afford what you're selling, probably, but I want to look anyway. Learn about more artifacts in this game. Again, this would have been great last time. Where was this in the last run? This also would be great to have. What's that one do? Magic Rampage. Oh, boost your stats based on how much mana you've set on fire. Okay. Vulnerability would be nice, too. Just a chance to make enemies vulnerable. Accident, spell, stitch, wound. Right. Anyway, off we go. No sense worrying about that too much. I've noticed that legendary weapons give me a boost to my skills, yes. In fact, I want more of them, so I can boost my other skills. Which, it giving you a bonus to a random skill is kind of nice, because it encourages you then to use a skill you might not have been using. Like, that's what encouraged us to try Leap Slash and find out that we actually like it. Because it sounds like a jump attack that I wasn't gonna like, but it was just a spin move, basically, which proved to be a lot more beneficial. Go ahead and take the leaf again. It does have the chance to give me other things, it just keeps giving me the same pair 9 times out of 10. Because we kept getting a 30% extra max life one before, which was really nice to have. Weren't these guys alive before? feel like those guys were alive at one point. I mean, obviously they were, but you know what I mean. One of the times we went through here, they were still alive, and now they aren't. I wonder if that's a thing that actually happens in this game, if A, there's different set pieces that show up randomly, or if people will actually die if you take too long. 'Cause that would be fascinating in a game of this type, for things like that to actually progress the more you lose. It would both be a good and a bad at the same time. We've used both of these before. Lightning Rush was probably the more beneficial one at the time, but I'm gonna give Lightning Frenzy a second chance. Because there's huge potential here. I just feel like I didn't use it appropriately when we used it before. It's like, as long as you can get your spacing and actually hit with it, it is devastating. Okay, so this is pretty much all about throwing extra fast lightnings out of it. Sure, we can try leveraging that. Why not? More potions that I can't fit. Well, we might get injured up here, especially if I keep messing around with Lightning Frenzy. Free Avenger Sword? Okay, we'll take a look at that in a moment. Yeah, that's right, you walked right into death. Good job, buddy. Way to go, man. Yeah, that's just plain old sword. No bonuses on it. Which, the bonus we have on that doesn't matter right now. So, let's try the difference, because, like, the slight speed increase might make up for the 2 magic attack loss. Advanced Artifact or Soul Gem? Advanced Artifact. Duration of Vulnerable is increased, and more attack speed. More intelligence, and scaling intelligence the more you kill. Definitely looking at that one. That's also good. That's also good. But this gives me points toward talent, and talent is really good, so we're taking that one. And, as you know, our primary stat is intelligence as a Spellblade, so why not buff your primary stat? Makes nothing but sense, doesn't it? What are you gonna say? That little guy's arms are huge. I'm a soldier in my own right. You think you'd be scared of that? What about that giant? Not long ago, I saw him pulling a cart around. I felt like I was dreaming. I heard he pulled a cart the size of a house up a cliff. I'll have to check with the doctor first. Maybe she ate something else. And remember when I said that getting to 50 of a stat seemed like it'd be really far away? Note the fact that at level 5 we have nearly 50 intelligence because of all the intelligence bonuses we're sitting on. Getting to keep all of your gear per run seems to be this game's main way of continuing to make you stronger at the start of each run. So you actually progress as far as meta progression goes, which is kind of nice because it means you don't have to just keep progressing up what is usually a fairly bland meta progression tree. As much as I enjoy meta progression, a lot of them only have like, oh hey, you gain X amount more health every run, or hey, you get slightly more money every run, and bland things like that. Having your gear and your NPC unlocks be the main thing that's benefiting you from run to run is a system I can get behind. Do I want both of these? I don't think I do. I think once again it's a case of I don't want both. We'll instead do that because enemies will be jolted a lot. So I should be able to get lots of fast lightning that way. Max resources up by 10, strength by 6, resistances by 5. I don't want any of these. Ugh, sadness. I guess I'll take the resistances. I don't really need 10 more mana. I'm not spamming lightning enough to need more mana at the moment. Okay, Berserker's resources madness. Madness as insanity or madness as in anger? Is it... If it's translated wrong, it could end up just being madness instead of anger. And that would actually be pretty funny. Okay, the damage output on the fast lightning bonuses and everything do seem to be paying off. We are chewing through health between the critical hits and the jolt bonuses. Oh, I got knocked back into that. Oh boy, that was almost really bad. Okay, we got our first intelligence bonus. I just kind of stood there in that. That was 100% on me. That's right, spawn friends, so I can keep murdering you while your friends take too long to spawn to save you. This is fine, I'm gonna win. There we go. So lightning's pretty potent with the right setup then. Okay. I was just setting these up not completely appropriately before. Charges... What? Charges 6 per second when combat resources are 50% or less. Okay, so it brings you back up to half of your resource. I appreciate that that's also any of the resources, not just magic, not just madness. And it does both physical and magical damage, so this is good for anybody. Okay. A copper ring. Get out of my face. And onward we go. I do wish there was some music when the boss was dead. It becoming just completely silent is just kind of upsetting. And I like the amount of information that's popping up in those load screen things, even if they don't get to be read for long, which is why I haven't been reading them out, because by the time I read like half of it, it'll be gone. Skill cooldown reduction. Huh. Okay. Sure. What do we got? Magic attack by 25%, core skill damage by 20%, so that's perfect for me right now. And it would get me magical rampage. Fury would also be nice because it's hitting the same target with a lot of attacks, which is basically our whole shtick right now. But I'd need to find something else that has Fury. That's useless to us right now. It's basically between these two, and of the two, this is the better one for us right now with our setup. And I could get Lightning Storm. We keep getting our ultimate skills as these purchases here, and I'm so here for it. I haven't seen Lightning Storm yet either, so this ought to be fun. Which I suppose, to a certain degree, being able to buy those skills somewhat invalidates the purpose of skill points. Like, it doesn't really, but it can lead to that, potentially. Like, I see it being abusable to the point where that could end up happening. But it would have to be under the right circumstances. Uh-huh. Well, that was definitely different. Okay, that's the level 3 dagger. How the hell does this spell work? Lightning Storm is created and fast lightning rains down on the enemy, dealing 250% magic damage per unit of lightning. Okay. I don't understand. I do, but I don't. It has something to do with the dots that were floating around. And I think I understand how to generate it, because what I think happens is it might scale based on how much fast lightning you use afterwards, perhaps? We'll have to tinker with that. Like, if I start it first and then I do that, it seems like it threw more lightning that time, but it's hard to tell guaranteed on that one. All I know is it does a lot of damage once it fires off. It just takes a second to fire off is the only problem. Well, that was almost upsetting. Ooh. They know how to tempt me. Giving me gold gain. Gold gain, magic item find. Those are things that will twist my arm away from my usual, hey, give me all of the damage. Which I haven't seen magic item find in this game yet. But if I ever do, my gear set's gonna turn to trash because I'm gonna be like, yeah, give me all the magic item find. Even though it's a terrible idea. That's just how I roll. Oh, there's two guys back there again. This one pathway seems to end up with enemies spawning late in it, and it's upsetting because you have to turn around and go get them. And you might have noticed me sometimes falling down those ladders. If you press left or right while you're climbing up them, every now and then you just fall down. It's kind of upsetting. It's not really a big deal, but it's just like, you might want to fix that just so people don't randomly fall off ladders. Since you kind of have to use the stick for this game because they use the D-pad for potions. I mean, you probably could change all of that if you sat there and fiddled with it. But I don't know how worth it is. Really depends on how much you end up playing this, really, I guess. Dexterity and crit chance, and another one that gives you a 50% chance to boost your highest stat. So that one's a really strong argument because that will also get us the first talent level. So we gain more stats per level. That gets us 3 magic rampage, which is great, except for the fact that that wouldn't get me enough. So that's not what I would end up doing. I'm taking the Blessed Quiver. Because we'll be gaining multiple extra hits of permanent stats, and we'll also be gaining some really hefty temporary stats now and then. So it's really win-win across the board there. But I do feel like I'm very reliant on my Lightning Fury now, which is concerning. Especially with the boss fight we're going into here. That was almost really bad. I was worried that hitting multiple targets was gonna mean I wasn't gonna be able to kill any of them, and lo and behold, I was correct. Which is why I was ready to dodge out of there before the explosion happened. Look at that, though. Hey, there's a screen full of enemies, and then there wasn't. Have you considered if they all died? Do I want Lightning Sphere first or Lightning Strike first? Because I can only get one of them right now. Lightning Sphere has a much longer cooldown, but you can summon 3 Lightning Spheres. And they just kind of hang out and do damage. So you know what? Sure, let's try that one first. It can stay on left trigger. Left trigger's fine for that one. I feel like I'm gonna reach for it more often than I reach for Lightning Storm. And I don't reach for right bumper very often, just because of the way my finger naturally rests. I spend most of my time hovering over right trigger on the right side, because of the way I grip that hand. It's a slight further movement than it is for my left hand to reach left trigger. Because my left hand's raised up a little bit more because of the fact that the thumb rests on the left stick. Whereas my right hand's resting on the face buttons. And that's probably to some degree just a case of this is the length my fingers are, so this is how my positioning lands. And to a certain degree, just grip in general. Killing enemies increases the amount of experience you gain for 10 seconds by 30%. And you just flat gain 10% more experience. In what regard is this a mark of regret? This seems just like good things upon good things. I'm confused. This one, though, is probably the better choice for me right now because it gives me 2 synergies. But I like this one. I got my eye on this one. Both because of the effects it has, and Sturdy and Luck together is really nice. But this is better for our current setup. Because it's extra crit rate and bonus damage against jolted enemies and 2 synergies. It's just good upon good upon good again. It's crazy. Okay, Spider. Bring it on. Let's see if this goes better this time. I also can't skip this, in case people are wondering why I watch this man get bit in half over and over again. So, he used to have a health bar, and then I did a lot of bad things to it all at once. And then I used to have a health bar too, and then he did bad things in return. So either I'm getting really lucky with this current setup, or lightning might be the best straight DPS this game has. Ooh, Clara's Hood reduces force skill resource usage, huh? So you're saying I can spam my lightning move more? The only problem is those stats aren't good for it. But increase damage by 29% when you're at half combat resources, though. And it's the same amount of armor as the giant gold hat. We'll try it out. It's not like this has a stat that benefits me on it anyway, so it's not like I'm losing anything. I just lose the 8% lightning damage in exchange for gaining 29% damage like every time I throw my skill out there. Ooh, extra bolts of lightning off of lightning sphere. Okay. These are all so good. Like, lightning is definitely your attack spam skill set, it seems. It's like, would you like to hit your opponent 50 million times? Good news! Lightning has your back. Hit them 1,000 times for every swing. Enjoy. Okay, so damage reduction is after armor and resistance. Noted. Every game's different about that, whether damage reduction is first or last. And the fact that it's all cumulative is good information to have, too. Sell everything that isn't legendary. Because nobody cares if it's not legendary. Physical attack. Nah. Critical damage. We are critically hitting a lot, so this is actually fairly worthwhile, I think, right now. What do you got? Seized herb. Okay. We're not doing damage over time, so that doesn't help as much. What do they mean by per acquisition? Do I just get another artifact when I pick up artifact detector? I assume that's what it means. Like, it just comes with an extra artifact. It already gives me increased critical chance, so I'm leaning towards grabbing it. For every artifact you pick up, there's a 50% chance of picking up an additional random artifact. Ooh. So here's the thing. Does this already give me flat one more, or is it one more on top of the excavation effect? This doesn't have enough words to tell me what this does. But you know what? We're buying it so we can find out. I suddenly got 2 artifacts. It said 1 and I got 2. And I can fit them both, so I'm taking both. You know what? I don't know why I'm questioning it. Just nope. I'm just taking that, I'm leaving. Goodbye. Before he changes his mind. Before he realizes he ripped himself off by selling me 1 item, 3 items for the price of 1. Because this is the one we were looking at that I really wanted before, and this one's not bad either. Because this was another one I was considering. So we just gained a bunch of synergy points for free. Later, sucker. I debated staying and re-rolling his shop to see if I could buy another relic, but I didn't want to push my luck. Well, that was a really flashy move. Not, like, resoundingly effective, but it was flashy and cool. Oh yeah, I guess I don't know if the electricity damage counts as damage over time. Because it's not a dot necessarily, because it's recurring a new attack, I think, each time the lightning strikes. I'm not actually sure how that works in terms of dot or not dot from that one. Jesus. Every time the lightning storm goes off, it's ridiculous. For pure absurdity, this might be my favorite build so far. Which, for those that don't know, 2 of my favorite elements out of all elements in games is fire and lightning to begin with. More fire than lightning usually, but I do really enjoy a good lightning element. If it's done well, which this game, I wouldn't say does lightning in a crazy interesting way, but it is potent, as lightning should be, considering, you know, what happens when something gets struck by lightning. Yeah. Wait. Reduce the cooldown of the ability. These don't have cooldowns, though. So what ability is that reducing? Like, does it reduce all cooldowns? In which case, that is insanity, and we need to find out. This is for science. The science of making myself absurdly powerful. My favorite kind of science. We are basically full on artifacts. We're only missing 1 slot, so I'm actually gonna start grabbing soul gems. Basic skills damage. Intelligence up by 6. I feel like the 10% damage is gonna be more, but this does affect all of my skills. Okay, so now we're gonna find out if hitting something with my core ability makes all of my things cool down, because I'm going to throw all of my stuff first and then start hitting with the lightning fury and see what happens. So throw that, throw that, throw that. Make sure they're jolted. Of course, the problem is having anything alive on screen when I do that. God damn it. They're also kind of hard to hit, these flying guys. It didn't look like it affected the cooldown on Lightning Storm at all, so I don't know what it affects. I'm still kind of confused. Okay, that time I watched Lightning Spear cool down a bunch. So what it probably is, it's mastery abilities, and it just doesn't have the word mastery listed there. No, because that time I didn't get it for the other... I don't know. I still don't know. At the end of the day, I still have no fucking idea. Like, oh, hey, I solved the mystery. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. No, I didn't. Maybe I did. I don't know. I don't know anything. Yeah, see, that one specifically says mastery skills get their cooldown reduced by critically hitting a jolted opponent. So what does this one do? I still don't understand. I am confusion. And for those wondering, if you look, none of these core skills have a cooldown. So it's not like, oh, it affects a different core skill's cooldown. It doesn't, because they don't have one. So what the what? 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 And like, maybe I'm stupid. Maybe there's something I'm not understanding, but... I am confused. And Soul Gem or Advanced Artifact. Soul Gem for skill points? Huh? Hey, skill points. Yes. This way we can pick this one up as well and find out how well this works out, because we do have a decent critical hit chance. So in theory, this should work out in our favor. Yes, Twitch email. I know I got a gifted sub to a different channel. Thank you. It's almost like it pops up on screen when you're on Twitch somewhere. Let's go ahead and upgrade our Lightning Storm so I can gain access to the Lightning Storm bonuses. This is probably last run unless... Well, no, it probably is last run in general, because we'll be at 4 hours, and I think that's good enough for session 1 of this game. This is almost certainly coming back, and I'm probably going to play it in my off time as well. I just don't want to overdo it today. I feel like we've had this conversation before. Yeah, he's saying the same things. Okay. I debated reading it out a second time, but I'm like, no, he's just repeating himself. Him in his stupid flying chair. Who do you think you are, Robotnik? God, his attacks do so much damage, though. I can't just greedily charge him. Oh, this was a mistake. Because, like, you can get away with attack spamming on some of the other bosses. This one, though, just staying near him is danger. Or half the time. Oh, he did it twice. For some reason, I didn't think he was going to do it twice. I should have known better. Because we've seen him do it twice already. Well, God, he is the only one we're having problems with now. But it's almost all me being stupid too. Like, I can't even say, oh, this is such a hard fight. No, if I was just patient, we would have won that fight. But I thought I could rush him down because we had obliterated the spider so hard. But as I said, that's last run. I'm putting the controller down, stopping myself, because otherwise I'm just gonna keep going. Which, let that tell you how good would I find this game to be if I have to actively put the controller down so I don't just keep looping over and over again. But even with drinking water, my throat's getting dry and it's getting angry at me, so I don't want to push it too much. Taking a quick scan around to decide where I'm going to send people. As usual. Still always feels weird that it shows up the manage your sub thing on your own channel, because you're technically subbed to yourself even though that doesn't give you money. It's just always a bit of a weird thing, because I assume it's the only way they could make sure that certain aspects work correctly. Just, like I said, always looks slightly weird when you loop around and see that. I'm like, huh, that's a thing, I guess. There's not that many people on that I've already vetted enough to really want to send it to them right now. And I am feeling kind of dead myself. Is anybody playing this game? More importantly, is anybody playing this game in English? We got one. Oh no, technically two. But I'm not enthused by what I see with either of them. Like, I'm sure there's nothing wrong with them, but their initial impression that I'm seeing doesn't do anything for me. So I think today's gonna be a no-raid day, so I can go get things done, make sure that my throat isn't actually getting proper sore and any of that. Not that I anticipate that being a problem, but it's better to check. Is that an excuse for me not to raid? Yeah, I might be making excuses, yes. This wouldn't be the first time, now would it? Anyway, tomorrow I may or may not be live, because like I said, I will be supporting Crimson for her birthday, and that is going to be streamed during normal stream time. But again, I don't know if she actually wants that to be a collab that a bunch of people are involved in, or if that's going to be we're just all on her channel or not. So, watch this space tomorrow. Things will either happen here or you'll be directed elsewhere. That's just gonna solve itself, basically. Monday, I don't entirely know what I'm gonna do. I have a couple things lined up. It may even be more of this, because I may be addicted to this by the end of the weekend. We'll find out. Tuesday should be... Actually, no, we're done with Abiotic, so I need to talk to Moth if Moth wants to do something on Tuesdays still, or if we want to put a pin in that so we can do other things and then come back to that once Abiotic gets updated or something. The only... Actually, no. I can't even say that I'm reasonably confident about Thursday, because I don't know if we're going to be doing every other week with Space Engineers yet or not, because I haven't had a chance to discuss that with that group either. So basically, I have no fucking idea what's happening next week. So there you go. There's your knowledge for the days. I have no idea what's happening. As if this is news. Anyway, y'all have a good one. I'll see you again tomorrow in some capacity, most likely, and Monday guaranteed with something. Good night, everybody.